To most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m. The feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist. Born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars. Found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that is not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered lens? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin.
He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down hot in these curves. Up and over. There's Zach Buchanan running a 10. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over. Down into turn 1. There goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
The 9th round of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge brings us to one of the bumpiest and most violent racetracks on the schedule. Sebring International Raceway was once a World War II airbase, and its taxiways and runways have been repurposed to form a 3.74-mile road course. Here, there's long straights, fast corners, and tall curves. And with only a few rounds left to climb up the point standings, drivers are getting desperate. DJ Alessandrini is sitting on top of the point standings and is in good shape for the season finale at Road Atlanta, even if he has a mishap here and at Watkins Glen in a few weeks. but for the others chasing them, they need to step up their game. Join us in a ground-constrained dogfight around the air base in Florida. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian Laguna tonight for Sim TV and Winding Road Magazine. Finian, round 9 of the season, only a couple rounds left. Expectations for tonight at Sebring Raceway.
I think we're going to be in for an interesting race, especially because this track has some really long straightaways and a lot of flowing sections. That's going to lead to, I think, a lot of drafting, typically what we saw at Watkins Glen and tracks of that like.
Absolutely. So we have a guest with us tonight for the qualifying session while everyone's out on track putting their lap, and we have Peter Solz from LevelUp Racing School, one of the sponsors for this event. And Peter, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you here with us. I wanted you to just talk a little bit about LevelUp Racing School, what it is, where it is, and how can I be a part of it?
Hi guys. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, it's really cool to be here. This is such a cool series, and I just, you know, the intro at the beginning about the racing kind of being for the elite and everything was very spot on, and this series, you know, helps get, you know, as many people involved as possible, and you know that's kind of what we're trying to do is get as many people involved in the sport as possible. So
when I think of a racing school, I would think that someone coming in would probably have at least some driving experience at least at some level of where they're understanding how to shift and how to accelerate, how to brake. But for a new driver that's learning how to race in one of your programs, what's the most difficult thing for them to learn?
Well, you're right. You know, they all understand how the controls work. You know, you learn that in driver's ed, you know, when you're 15, and so a lot of people, you know, come in as that's what they know. They know how to, you know, which way to turn the steering wheel and what happens when you push the pedals. Probably the most difficult thing for most people is especially in these cars, you know, that have an H-pattern gearbox in them, is the shifting part of it, specifically the downshifting. And so we work on that right away, you know, as one of the first things that we do is getting people to, you know, really work on the shifting, because it's the biggest limiting factor to going faster.
Also, I'm curious about the LevelUp Racing School origins. Like, where did it come from? Because I think I read something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that LevelUp kind of started from what was left of the Skip Barber Racing School. Is there any truth to that? Right.
So we, you know, this was a little over 2 years ago now, and the Skip Barber, you know, Racing School was, you know, really having a lot of problems, and they had gone into bankruptcy, and so, you know, we thought, you know, well, we can do this. We can do a better job, and so we started the school, and we have, you know, great instructors. You know, we took the best of what Skip Barber had to offer, and you know, there was so many good guys there, and so we took, you know, guys that were, you know, the best that they had, and let's do this, and so we changed it from a 3-day school to a 2-day to help fit this, you know, help it fit into people's schedules a little bit easier, and you know, what kind of went from there.
It's really exciting, and one of the questions I always like asking people, and this is something that Finian and I kind of came up with together, is if you could kind of create any racing series that you could, if you could imagine the best racing series in the world, what would your criteria be? What cars, what kind of car, what kind of racetracks? Just kind of curious, in your creative mind, what do you think would be the best racing series that you could think of?
Wow. I have to think about that for a little bit, I guess. But you know, the SPEC MX-5 series is pretty close. I mean, it's got, you know, it's a car that's, you know, it's the same for everybody, and it goes to big racetracks, and you know, racetracks that everybody everybody loves coming to these tracks, and so it's the thing I like about this type of series, and probably it would be something that I would pick out as kind of a dream series, is because it is a spec type of a series. So especially for developing drivers, you know, when you have cars that are all the same, it's easy to tell when you're getting better. Most people, for me for sure, well, when I first started out, I was kind of at the back. I was happy to finish my first race, so then as I got better, where I finished, off the grid, I finished higher and higher as I got better and better. And so it's a really good barometer of how well you're improving skill-wise.
Well, that's a great answer to that. I also want to ask you, I know you've been following the series at least for a little while now. I'm curious, in the drivers in this field, who have you looked at on the ticker and said, hey, I think that's the guy that's going to walk away with the chance to drive at LevelUp Racing School for a couple days? Do you know anybody? Do you have someone in mind? Because I think we're looking at DJ Alessandrini crushing everyone in the points, and it's easy for us, but I'm curious if there's somebody else that maybe isn't DJ.
Yeah, DJ, he's just driving really well, so he's obviously a good candidate, and Michael Borden, I know Michael personally, and watching him at the last race at Road America, I don't know what happened, why he didn't make the first race, but the second race, wow, he just was in third, fighting for third, and he just kind of fought his way back up to the leaders and ended up, taking the win, which was just incredible to watch. It was just such great racing.
Absolutely. Other thing about the schedule, we know that SPEC MX-5 in the real world runs a pretty spectacular schedule, and of course the Sim Racing series follows that pretty closely. We're heading to Atlanta this weekend for Grid Life at Road Atlanta, and that's where the season finale is. These drivers already visited Road Atlanta earlier in the season. Do you think they could have learned something there that they can apply to the season finale, or will the pressure of that race change how you attack it?
Boy, I'm not sure. Just being there, it's such an intimidating track that if the more practice you get at a track like that, the better it is for you. And if you can kind of go back and think about what you did right and what you didn't do right, if in the real world, stuff, you can look at some data and try to figure out, where I can do better, and that'll be a big help.
In the 21st century, we have a lot of access to technology, through smartphones and cameras and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of ways that you can debrief after going out on the racetrack. And I know a lot of people start with autocross and HPD and events of that sort. But what kind of debrief or what kind of briefing do you give drivers before they go out on the racetrack? And how do you use technology at LevelUp Racing School to advance the driving there? Or is it more of an analog experience where you get in with an instructor and they teach you the ropes the old school way?
Well, we try to do a little of both. We during the schools, we first of all, kind of the first thing we do is get them into the cars and pretend like they've never been to the racetrack before, and we do a lead follow around the racetrack, and just to give them the right sight pictures, where the turns are and where, what things should look like, kind of at a little bit of a slow speed, and then we kind of build speed as that session goes on, and then that helps kind of help them understand what the racetrack is about a little bit, and get the nerves out a little bit, I should say, and then during the on-track sessions where we're kind of cutting them loose, we always have something to give them something to work on, and then after the sessions we watch them, and we kind of give them feedback during the sessions, radio feedback during the sessions, and then after the sessions we talk to them again, just kind of tell them what they did right, and where the areas where they can work on. We also have these devices, data devices called LitPro, and it's a GPS-based system that goes on the car, and we gather data, and then we look at the data as a group, and so we can look at several different people's data at one time up on the TV, and everybody's kind of gathered around that, and we can kind of dissect a little bit and see, where there's room for improvement there. We also have one of us will go out in a car and lay down reference lap, and just to kind of give the people an idea of what these cars are capable of. So that kind of gives them a little bit more of a comfort level as to, I can push the car a little bit more in this place or that place, and I'll be okay. So something to work toward.
I think I got one more question for you tonight, Peter, and we want to thank you again for coming on board. But one more question is, if for all those people out there that are watching this right now that haven't driven a race car but want to drive, or they want to race, or they want to drive competitively, is there one single piece of advice that you'd give to them? And is it just kind of jump into it and find a car and find a local event, or what's your one piece of advice you'd give to somebody that wants to get into a car and go fast?
Well, it depends on what your budget is. The more you have, the easier. The more money you have, the easier it is to get into this kind of thing. It is an expensive hobby, and if just get involved and learn as much as you can. If you can't scrape together a lot of money to get into a racing school or kind of get into a car, go out to the racetrack. You can participate and just learn a lot from being a corner worker. You can learn a lot by autocrossing your own car. There's a lot of opportunities to do that, and so to learn as much as you can, and if you can, drive as much as you can in something that doesn't have a lot of horsepower. You don't need to go out and buy a Ferrari or a Corvette or something with 700 horsepower to learn how to drive. That's what, again, kind of going back to these SPEC MX-5 cars. These are just great cars to learn on, because they're really well engineered cars, and they go just about as fast around the corners as almost anything else out there. They just don't have the big motor in them to get them down the straightaway as fast as a lot of the higher horsepower cars, obviously. But they're a really good teaching tool, and we love using them in the schools, and so and stay in something that's cheaper. Anything you can do to get more seat time is always the best answer. And then when you get, when you build a little bit more capital, then you can, start spending some more money on a bigger car.
Peter, we want to thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing your side of things a little bit as well. And we want to thank you again for sponsoring the series and offering up season-end prizes along with a couple other companies. It's been a pleasure working with and for you guys. And thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you a lot for having me. If anybody has questions, they can, email me at levelupracingschool@gmail.com, or, go to the website, levelupracingschool.com. There's a phone number there. They can call me if they need to. So I'd be more than happy to, answer any questions.
All right. Thanks so much, Peter. We put those links in the chat for everybody there. Peter, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Finney, and so qualifying is about complete here. The checkered flag is waving, and you know who's on pole right now is the 22 of Jonathan White over DJ Alessandrini by 90 thousandths of a second. Jonathan White, we talked about his improvement this season, but he just continues to impress me as we get closer and closer to Road Atlanta.
Currently mired 8th in the points. He ran really well last week, or in the last race at Road America, where he won race 1, I believe it was. In that 22 car, so he's been really kicked it up a notch towards the end of the season, and again, not too late due to the way the final race plays out with the format that we're running. So it's still, he could be setting himself up for a really good finish.
Absolutely, and we want to thank again Peter, now that he's stepped away, we want to thank Peter Soltz for coming on. He's from LevelUp Racing School. They're offering one of the season-end prizes. Don't forget what we're racing for here tonight. The season-end champion will get a choice, a selection of a 2-day experience with LevelUp Racing School, a track day with full team support, or a chance to test a SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge race car at Circuit of the Americas. So we'll want to thank LevelUp Racing School, as well as Paradigm Shift, RacewayTech, and Winding Road, all for coming on board and sponsoring this series. You can find information on Paradigm Shift. The reason why I asked the technology question was because Paradigm Shift is all about and analysis and looking at things with it from a technological perspective. So if you're interested in learning more about Paradigm Shift and what they're all about, check the link in the description. Winding Road, of course, that's your one-stop shop for racing gear. And if you want to go out and get yourself a helmet, go to Winding Road's website for that. I think they sell lots of Miata parts because that's kind of their thing here, obviously. And of course, RacewayTech. If you're in the sim racing genre, that's what we're doing right here with the iRacing.com motorsport simulation service. You head over to RacewayTech to get yourself some sim racing hardware, and trust me, they sell some good stuff out there. So, Finian, the point situation, though, we've been talking about it all season long, how DJ Alessandrini is running away. He's got 5 wins in 16 races, but Robert Hartley sits second. What do you think he can do?
At this particular point, until the reset, I don't really think he can do much. He's 44 points behind Alessandrini. That's almost 2 full races of points that Alessandrini would have to sit out for Hartley to get, and that's if he wins the race. So as far as that's concerned, I really don't think he can do much. It's really going to come down to the final race when we do that whole reset with the points for the final round, that I really think he'll be able to have a really good shot, because we've definitely seen that he has the pace. Maybe not the luck, though, this season.
Absolutely. So tonight's format here, though, race 1 is going to start in approximately 1 minute here. It's a 20-minute sprint race with a 15x limit. If you're familiar with iRacing, got to keep your car on the racetrack and out of other competitors if you want to have a clean race. 15 incident limit, and if you step over that limit, it's a 2 championship point deduction. Race number 2 will start at 9:35 after another qualifying session with an incident limit of 17, and again, another championship point deduction if you jump over that limit. So in the past couple weeks, we've seen some RG-bargy, some pushing and shoving. We know Robert Hartley got caught up in some stuff at Road America last round out. But we have about 17 entrants tonight. That's not a huge field. So if you're starting at the rear, it's not a death sentence. But I'm looking at drivers like Samuel Scott sitting 11th right now in qualifying. That 98 car, he's got speed, but sitting, kind of mid-pack here. I think we'll see him climb up the order. But DJ starting second, Robert Hartley, Chris Henn. Chris Henn, by the way, the 33 driver, he is really, really talented. 5th in the point standings. He's come in. He's got 2 wins in the 15 races he started this season. And look out to see if Chris Henn, the postman Chris Henn, can get something done tonight here at Sebring. A 3.74 mile circuit. It's on an old airport runways and taxiways, and it's a whole lot of fun. We're about ready to go racing here at Sebring, and we're gridding up, and we'll have 1 pace lap before we turn them loose here tonight.
Yeah, another thing too, very, very famous characteristic about this track, very bumpy due to just how old the surface is. I honestly don't remember when was the last time they repaved the track. Or even if they repaved this track at all.
That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that. If they've repaved it,
it's only been like certain sections. Yeah, it's definitely not been the whole track.
If they have repaved it, I wonder what the Yelp rating was for the pavers, because it's a little bumpy out there. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Turn 17, which is Sunset Bend. That is the final corner. It's a right-hander, and it's a really oddly shaped corner too. You think it's 180 degrees, but it's not a perfect 180 degree bend. It kind of, you lead into it, it's pretty straight on, and then all of a sudden it just arcs in real tight, and you have to get that nose right up against the wall before you can make that apex. And also, we're looking at the front straightaway right now, and if we jump on board with second place starter DJ Alessandrini, we look all the way ahead past that bridge there that says Sebring on it. There's a flat left-hander. It's basically the exact opposite of Sunset Bend, just to the left, and that's a 4th, 5th gear corner fitting in these cars, and you're hauling a lot of speed through there.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing too is that you're talking about Sunset Bend. Well, we're pretty much racing almost at sunset. It's about 6 p.m. in sim time that these guys are racing at late in the day. Usually most of the races are in the afternoon.
Yeah, we actually haven't seen a whole lot of races in relatively cool weather. If we take a look at our conditions right now, the track temp is only 89 degrees Fahrenheit, and we talk about concrete in general is not quite as temperature sensitive as asphalt. Asphalt, because it's a darker color, tends to heat up a lot quicker and cool a lot faster. Concrete is a little bit, it's like seawater. It doesn't heat up real fast, but it takes a while to get there and then cools off a lot slower. So, however, air temp ambient is only 87 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're not going to see a lot of change in conditions, but what it does mean is that the lap times are probably 2 to 3 seconds faster than they would be in full sun. So I'm excited to see how these guys are going to run, because they're going to be nearly flat out trying to carry as much speed as they can. It's not a super long race, so you're not going to have a whole lot of time to hang out, but if you're DJ, you're leading the points, you're just out here collecting victories at this point, so I don't expect to see him hold back at all. So the field's working their one pace lap here, about 3.74 mile circuit, 17 corners, and we'll walk you through a lap here. DJ is making his way through turn number 1, very flat, very fast. Look at this track out though, Finney, and a very thin curb and a whole lot of dirt. Yeah,
and also the track goes from being extremely wide to very thin once you get onto the asphalt, so we can see, and we've seen in the past in many different other series, a lot of wrecks occur after turn 1.
Yeah, turn 2 right here, it's a sharp left-hander, big tall curbs through turns 2, 3, and 4. And this is a very tricky corner here as well, turn number 4. Look at that curve, how it kind of comes in on the racetrack. It's very tall. Exit curve here, tall as well. Then we fire on down to the hairpin on the far side of the racetrack. This is a very good place to get a draft and take a look for a pass. Probably going to be one of your best passing opportunities.
Also, just want to say, look at that sunset. That is amazing.
It is really pretty. And again, I'm sure the drivers shouldn't have a whole lot of trouble seeing down here, but in future builds of iRacing, I think it's going to be pretty tricky to see where you're going.
And here they come down into a very tight hairpin. This is where we see a lot of guys making passes hard on the brakes to the inside. Could see some contact here too.
Yeah, this is about a second gear corner through here. Then you track out to the left and then back to the right. I don't know if those are officially called the S's, but that's kind of what they're like, a quick right-left jog to set you up. For I believe it's turn 8. The corner numbers, road course corner numbers make no sense. I think Road America thinks a straightaway is a turn. So
yeah, most turn numbers I kind of forget after turn 5. It's kind of hard to keep track.
But Watkins Glen doesn't count the bus stop as turns, which I don't know how that happens. But down in this corner here, another sharp right-hander, big tall curb on the inside. You can jump that one a little bit, but you got to be careful because there's not a lot of runoff room on exit. Then back to the left, you're going to swing all the way over, carry as much speed as you can, and you're actually going to be braking diagonally across the racetrack here. You see the cones on the left, 3, 2, 1. Brake across the racetrack, maybe just clip that curb on the outside, arc in, and right here, all that dirt, clip it. You want to get as much, shorten that corner up as much as you can. Track out and head yourself now towards, I guess these are probably called the S's down here.
Yeah, specifically with that track out too, I think that's where we'll see a lot of guys get 1X's from just dipping their tires out there.
Into the fast section, and this is all very wide open. Not a whole lot to hit out here other than your competitors. Big, tall FIA standard curbs on the left and right here as we get down into this section. Don't go off the racetrack here because you're going to go for a long slide. Now, we get into this, and this is where we're going to have to talk about slowdowns. Don't cut these corners. The curbs are the edge of the track. Don't go any farther. Here, however, you can go as wide as you want.
Yeah, after that curving there, and you will definitely see some guy miss that corner because it's very easy to do.
Wide curb on the exit. That corner is called Le Mans. And then now we're going to head on to the long straight. I wonder if it's called Le Mans because it's a tight corner before a long straight.
Might be,
but
I can kind of see it. I'm just surprised that it is called Le Mans.
And then this long back straightaway here. This is going to be Draft Fest 9000 down the back straight here. You're going to want to take as much as you can of that exit curve to you don't want to keep your steering all taut and tight. You want to unwind the wheel, maybe track out. You can even take a little bit of grass if you're careful where your tires are, and then use the run down this long straightaway. And this is Sunset Bend. This is a very challenging corner, but that's enough for the racetrack fit in. Ready to go green here tonight.
And we got about 16 to 17 drivers on the grid here tonight. This should be a fun race here. Who's going to come out on top?
Here we go. SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge, round number 9 from Sebring, Florida. Jonathan White in the number 22. He's on the pole, and the green flag flies, racing here in Florida.
And White jumps immediately in front of Allison Dreen. You can see a lot of guys already blending in line as they all set up towards turn number 1.
Yeah, we talked about draft, and I told you it was important. Well, it was important last round at Road America. Going to be the same here tonight, mid-pack. There's, wow, are we 4 wide? We're trying it down into turn 1. Very crazy action now. 3 wide now, slipping down to 2 as we get out of turn number 1. Don't see anybody off in the dirt yet. I think we made it through. Jonathan White leads the field down into turn 2. Meanwhile, mid-pack, I see Paul Darling. That's that yellow car on the inside. He'll take a look, and he's going to get around Luke Pfeiffer in the 06.
For the most part, as we get through turns 1, 2, and now 3, everyone's sort of getting single file for the rest of this race, at least for the next corner.
Up front, Jonathan White, we mentioned earlier how his success has been improving so much these last couple rounds. He's leading the race here early at Sebring. DJ Alessandrini sits second, and there's a ticker at the top of your screen to keep track of all the action here today, along with the sponsors that help us run these events. Meanwhile, mid-pack, though not a whole lot of action. I see the 67, that's Snodgrass popping out of line. He's got Elijah Croft in the 17. He's a driver that hasn't really made a whole lot of appearances this season, trying for a win here at Sebring.
To head through the S's, we're looking at Thomas Bresci, Nathan Saxon with a big run on him behind. They see him go for the look. Does he make the pass or attempt it? There he is, hard on the brakes.
Saxon to the inside, and Thomas Bresci in that 24. He's had a whole lot of bad luck this season, probably more than everyone else combined, and he's side by side with the 41 of Saxon. And tight quarters here. There's Michael Borden in the 42. This was Peter's pick for who might be able to win the championship. He's been improving quite a bit the last couple weeks and sits in 10th right now. He's going to have a great run on Saxon. Saxon's out in the dirt here on lap 1.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, guys dipping out there, and you see how much speed Saxon lost on the straightaway. So Borden's going to be able to easily get on by him.
He's going to take a bunch of curb there on the inside, set himself up for the S's. Up front, though, it's Jonathan White still has a commanding top spot over DJ Alessandrini. He's not going to give this up easy. I don't think DJ's going to push the issue here. Really no reason for that this early in the race. Someone offline there. Wow, look at how much extra racetrack they're taking. Brian Cheney in this green 05 was way off the track. Saxon.
Oh, did you get a slow down?
The 51 is Steve Ficacci. Looks like he might have been out of line. No, I don't think he's slowing down, but
And Saxon's still dropping.
41 did, however.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the pace lap. Do not get yourself a slowdown. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, that was a little far over the line. We'll get one little better look at this here, if we can. And this is entering Le Mans here, and he's going to take too much curb, and yeah, he's way off the course, and that was a slowdown for the 41. Chris Henn in the 33, named the postman because he likes to send it down the inside. Takes a look on Robert Hartley, a pass for third. And meanwhile behind him, that's Paul Darling, Mitchell Peak running for fifth. But Henn pulls third from Hartley. And if you pass Robert Hartley and driving a Miata, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, definitely so. Hartley, though, looking for some other wins and points just to kind of carry some momentum into the final race. But he is sitting nicely in the points in second, fourth in this race so far.
Already, we're actually beginning to stretch the field out a bit. I thought we'd see a bit tighter group at the moment, but Alessandrini is staying right with Jonathan White, and Chris Henn and Robert Hartley right behind them. Let's jump back deeper in the field. Ficacci, Jack Sanchez, Brian Cheney. This is 11th through 13th, down into the hairpin here. We'll see if anybody pops out of line. Oh, I heard some contact up the road. I'm not exactly sure who it was with, but I did hear a push and a shove. Don't see any damage on anybody, though, so I think we all got out of that alive. Saxon and Croft trading spots. Saxon has a lot of work to do. And remember, he's in a points battle that he really shouldn't be getting too many slowdowns. He's sitting fourth in the standings coming into tonight, and he's in a good spot. He could gain a couple spots in the points, so really no need to throw it away early. Jack Sanchez to the inside, took a look on Ficacci. Can't get it done.
Scotchie trying to get on the rebound to try to get back past him all over his bumper. Does he have a look here? He's going to.
That's Sam Scott on the outside and up the inside, and then he has to take a lot of curb to miss a collision there. But he does and loses some ground, and I think that's going to bring Jack Sanchez up to the rear bumper.
Yeah, Scott squeezing Ficacci to the curb, and there you see the 23 of Jack Sanchez trying to make a pass, but actually he's being passed by Brian Cheney.
Brian Cheney to the inside. Does he take a look? He will. He's going to get by Sanchez. Side by side through the S's, and the 23's out over the curb, and he's going to turn to 05. Cheney spins, and he's going to collect the 23 as well, and spins right back into traffic. And so Cheney and Sanchez, Cheney's actually going to get the better end of it, but Sanchez was offline and spun out. And I think he got on the curb here. We're going to try to get his a couple different angles. He was on the curb and then bounced off, and that's what got him into the 05, and Cheney just clips the bumper and sends him around.
Fortunate for both those guys. You can see 23 trying to get back onto the track to avoid getting a slowdown, but it ended up flipping Cheney around in the process, and he also went sideways.
Here's a look in slow motion. So you're going to see the car clip the curb, bounce up in the air. He's going to get into the side of the 05, and then he almost clears, he turns left, and then turns right back to the right to try to make the corner, and he's denied, and a full-on drift for the 23 of Jack Sanchez. It looked cool, but unfortunately wasn't able to hold it in a slide. Let's jump back up here. We got some action mid-pack. I think it was Luke Pfeiffer and Mitchell Peak, and Mitchell Peak trying to take 6th place away from the 06.
Yeah, Pfeiffer with the pass on Mitchell Peak, and Peak trying to take it back, but he's slowed down. Whoa. Here comes Bresci in the 24.
Yeah, Bresci wasn't waiting around. Here comes Borden as well. This is going to be a scary moment here heading down into the hairpin. So Bresci and the 42 of Borden are going to pass Mitchell Peak, so a mistake there for the 21.
Borden's not done yet. He's now pulled out to get a draft off of the 06 in front of him. He's going to be side by side with Bresci into the hairpin.
And he'll have to back up, but maybe he's going to try to cross over on exit. He has a good run, but nowhere to go with it. The track narrows up on exit. Takes a look to the left of the 24 and be a drag race down to the following right-hander.
Yeah, he had to pretty much sit in behind Belsky again due to that right-hander now looking to the outside. What's going to be the inside through this next corner.
He lifted. So he's just going to settle in behind for now. Of course, Gordon from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has experience racing at the club or regional level. You know, sometimes that experience is obvious there when you see him back out of a situation like that. Still early in the race, we have 13 minutes left to go, so no reason to really throw your car into a collision this early. Let's jump back up to the top spot. You haven't missed anything up here. I think DJ's just biding his time sitting second right now. When you're second at Sebring with this long back straightaway right before the finish, you're in a position of strength. So I think DJ's going to just hang out here for a little while.
Yeah, and again, like you said, no reason to force the issue. If anything, it's better just to kind of work together to get out ahead of as many drivers as you can. You see a lot of guys dip a wheel out.
Yeah, just a couple wheels off track there at the exit of turn 16. And it's going to let DJ get a run. I'm going to assume he's not going to do much with it. Let's jump back quickly here. I thought I saw some action behind Cheney and Belsky just trading spots, but we're going to jump back to the top spot here for Sunset Bend, and let's just watch these cars come through the corner, how much bouncing they're going to do as they come on exit here. Look at this.
Yeah, this is one of those corners where you can take it a million different times, and each way it's either going to be slightly wrong or slightly better than the last, because it's a really hard corner to get through. Just the way it is, it's blind. And you almost don't know where the apex is pretty much every time you go through it.
Yeah, Sunset Bend is one of those corners that you don't really get right, you just get it less wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
But you see Jonathan White, he's going to run way off the racetrack in turn one. Way, way wide, and DJ Alessandrini's going to take that opportunity, swing to the left and dive down to the inside for turn two. Alessandrini, contact with the 22 is going to send the 22 off the racetrack, and it's going to be a cut course for White.
White's going to cut back and make some slight contact with Chris Henn.
The stewards aren't going to like that.
It's some more contact behind.
Hartley gets contact, and he gets shoved off the racetrack, regains, but for a moment there, Jonathan White was a pinball, and I don't know if the stewards will like that a whole lot.
Yeah, they'll wait on a word with that, but yeah, they've definitely shown they don't really like that kind of contact, especially with the rejoining, so we'll see if they have a look and maybe assess a penalty. But meanwhile, here comes Chris Henn to the inside. Alessandrini. Great run off the corner.
The postman, Chris Henn, down to the inside on the hairpin, looks on exit to the inside of DJ Alessandrini. Henn has turned up the heat, and here he comes. He's on fire down the back straight.
Yeah, as soon as DJ Alessandrini got the lead, he's lost it, although it's not done yet. He's still barely side by side with Chris Henn, but he's going to have the advantage to the inside.
DJ braked later. He's going to have a run on the outside, but the short way around's the quickest way here. White back to third. Robert Hartley's back to join the party again. Those two tan cars running third and fourth. White's got some pretty significant left front damage on that car. We'll see if it affects him, but Chris Henn to the top spot.
Yeah, with all the stuff that's happened for the lead, that's allowed Paul Darling to catch back up, so it's now a battle of 5 for the lead.
Yeah, Paul Darling won the SCCA iRacing SPEC Racer Championship a couple months ago, so he's been awful good in the sim and in the real world. Meanwhile, Chris Henn, he's to the inside of Alessandrini, and DJ is just going to run right around the outside. He'll be on driver's right, the preferred line for the S's.
Got the advantage on this upcoming quarter. Henn trying to just find a way in line as White's now on the attack.
And White's going to dive up the inside. Henn's going to give him room, and on exit, whoa, close quarters there. Henn's got the left side tires off, and DJ Alessandrini back to the top spot.
Yeah, you can see all of them snaking down the straightaway, just trying to draft off one another.
Whoa, Hartley, hello, down way below the line, right against that wall in the back straight. He's going to take a look for third place, maybe even second. He's 3 wide down the back straight.
3 wide, someone's got to give. It's going to be Hartley. Whoa! That could have been ugly.
Well, I thought we were going to be patient here, but that has kind of gone away, and Hartley's going to lose a spot here to Paul Darling, and White is going to lose a spot to Chris Henn, and Henn's way out to the exit.
And notice, too, from this blimp shot, the 3 cars that are in behind, they're catching the leaders with all the stuff that's going on ahead.
Yeah, Belsky went wide out of turn 17. They lost some ground. Meanwhile, up towards the front, Alessandrini's got the top spot. Chris Henn is second in that turquoise car. Then it's White and Hartley. They've been dogfighting here, third and fourth. They've been back and forth a few times, and Paul Darling, they're both off. They're both off in turn 1, and Darling's going to take a look to the inside of Hartley.
Hartley, though, is going to be able to defend it. Darling's going to back off. Hartley trying to regain some of the spots he lost after some argy-bargy between some of these guys.
And look at Chris Henn reeling back in DJ Alessandrini. I'm thinking the incident count for Jonathan White and Hartley has to be pretty high, so you got to be careful. Every time you run off the racetrack, it records an incident. Up front, though, Chris Henn is just turned up the wick, and he's chasing down DJ again and trying to dethrone the king here.
They come hard on the brakes into the hairpin. It will look like Hen thought about looking late. He's just going to sit and ride in behind on the 91.
Onto the back straight now, and Chris Hen sitting right behind the points leader. Hen's 5th in the championship coming into the night. And he's had 2 wins, and that's the same number of wins as Robert Hartley, who's 2nd. He just hasn't had the consistency that Hartley's had. Takes a look to the inside of DJ, but he's going to hang tight here, but put the pressure on.
Hen is actually in behind Jesse Stevens, who is notably not here on the grid this week. Not sure
I think he mentioned that he wasn't going to be here.
Okay. So he's going to be, so that's another potential position for Chris Hen.
Look at the curb. He took a ton of curb there. And, you know, this racetrack is a place where you have to know what curb is like what. There's a lot of racetracks like Coda, for example, all the curbs are the same. Not here. They're a lot taller in some corners, a lot shorter in others. And Chris Hen just used it to his advantage here. Chasing DJ into the braking zone here for the S's. As he pop out of line, he's going to brake early and sit behind.
Much tighter line, though, than Alessandrini.
Whoa!
Alessandrini got on the curbs. Hen has the run, but just nowhere to go through this tight, twisty section.
Look at this top 6 or 7 cars all bunched together. And
so Pfeiffer now, and also looks like Michael Borden also just barely hanging on to the end. So now it's pretty much a lead pack of 7. As you see Borden sneaking, trying to get the draft to rejoin the leaders. Yeah,
so Borden's actually in a pretty good position here. He'll get a pretty strong toe down the straightaway and get maybe even 5 to 10 miles an hour quicker, but off into the final corner, all sorts of position swapping.
Wow,
3 wide for the top spot, and look at Chris Hen around the outside.
Yeah, Chris Hen around the outside. White sticking it to the inside, and Alessandrini is going to drop from 1st to almost 5th.
Wow.
As they get back to the line. That was a bad corner for Alessandrini.
A mistake for DJ, but up front, Chris Hen takes the top spot away. White and Hartley, 2nd and 3rd. They're still side by side off into turn 3. Look at Paul Darling in 4th now.
Paul Darling in 4th. He's got White and Hartley up ahead. Hartley on the outside, White on the inside. Ooh, it looked like Darling was thinking about making it 3 wide, and Hartley through the dirt is going to get ahead of Jonathan White.
Pfeiffer contact in the background. Pfeiffer gets drilled from behind. Borden got into him, and I think DJ's got some significant rear end damage off of that. So accordion effect down there in turn 2, and that stacked him up. And some big damage to cars 91, 06, and 42, who are 5th, 6th, and 7th.
They will continue on, though, again, with the damage they have. But Chris Hen will lead them down to the hairpin for the first time. Now, will Hartley try anything? We know that he's been waiting in the wings for quite a while. He's been kind of pushed around this race.
Chris Hen is leading this race. Oh, Hartley got into the back of him there. A bit of a push, a bit of a shove. Hartley's off the course. Hartley's off the course. He'll get a cut track for that race, or for that move there. And here comes White and Paul Darling. Are they going to sit behind? I think Hartley got away with that somehow. Unless he hasn't lifted yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Looks like he's continuing on like he has nothing. Oh, and Alessandrini behind. Hard dive on Paul Darling and almost on White. White's going to check up, and they all get backed up through that corner.
Yeah, DJ braked way too late there. He took a chance on getting by Paul Darling, and he made it stick. But the problem is he slipped up mid-corner. Meanwhile, Darling, Pfeiffer, and Borden behind them, all in a dogfight here. Borden to the inside, that bright pink car up over the curb. Big climb there, right behind Paul Darling.
Borden now up into 6th, and you can see more guys have joined. Bresci and Peak have joined this battle as well.
But up front, look at Chris Hen. He's got a 1-second lead. He's almost broken the draft away from Hartley.
I was going to say, with Hartley going off the track and backing everyone else up, that allowed Hen to pretty much break away. He might be able to run away with this.
DJ Alessandrini got shuffled out of the lead a lap ago. He's going to have only 2 laps to make up for the mistake. And he's got to get by Jonathan White, Robert Hartley, and Chris Hen. He's 2 seconds back from the lead. It's not impossible to get there, but he's got a lot of work cut out for himself.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if anything else, you should just give a shove to Jonathan White to try to push him back up. But he's going to try to make a pass on White on the back straightaway.
Looking from high above, you can see the lead that Chris Hen has out front. About 20 car lengths there. Meanwhile, for 3rd place, it's White, Alessandrini, and I think that is Paul Darling right behind as well as they make their way through Sunset Bend. Over the bumps, right against the wall at a turn 17.
Yeah, guys barely leaving an inch to that inside wall as they navigate through the corner. And all snaking down the front straightaway.
The laps here take about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We have 4 minutes and 35 seconds left. It's a timed race, but that means we have 2 laps to go. DJ to the inside of Jonathan White. He'll take the spot away and move himself back into 3rd. Does he have enough pace to chase down Hartley and Hen? But it's a hornet's nest behind him. They'll look at Darling trying to find a way around the 22.
And they come hard into the brakes into turn number 2. White's going to be to the inside. Alessandrini going to still be side by side.
Oh, he took a big chunk of curb there, and he's going to drive in deep in turn 4. But the 22, I don't think he'll get a big enough run, and it'll be DJ for 4th, or 3rd rather, on the back straight here.
And here comes Paul Darling, also with a run on White, going to look to the outside up on this upcoming corner. Also going to try to get a run off of Alessandrini.
Into the hairpin, the hard braking zone from 5th gear down to 2nd. Look at Jonathan White to the inside of Darling, into the inside of DJ Alessandrini, late in the going. They don't make contact, but it was as close as it's going to get. Darling now to the outside of the 22.
Yeah, he's lucky he backed out, otherwise he would have been responsible for putting that 91 around that easy. Would have been a penalty. There you see Michael Borden all over the back bumper of Jonathan White.
Yeah, Borden is not waiting around here. This is a chance for a top 5, get himself climbed up the points here into the braking zone. He jumps on the brakes a little earlier, but look at White dive off into the corner. Can he make it stick? Ooh, Borden and Darling made a bit of contact, and Pfeiffer goes way off the racetrack trying to defend it. Here comes Bresci from 8th.
Yeah, Bresci now forcing the issue as a lot of other guys are checking up. Can he find a line on Darling through this next corner? I don't think he's going to have to sit him behind.
Oh man, look at Pfeiffer in the 0-6 to the inside. Bresci's going to carry the momentum around the outside, now onto the back straight. But it's all Chris Henn up front by 9/10 of a second. A gutsy pass a few laps ago got it done out of turn 17, and Hartley's been chasing ever since. DJ's 2.6 back. He's got some damage. Meanwhile, for 6th place, though, Darling is in a big fight with Borden and Thomas Bresci from 7th. We'll take a breath for a second. Oh, Bresci can't. He's got Pfeiffer all over his rear bumper as making their way onto the back straight.
See a little bit of contact from Pfeiffer that happened to him earlier. Mitchell P just trying to kind of hang on to this group, maybe try to make another pass or so as we're heading towards the white flag.
We'll have 1 lap to go for Chris Henn. It's not over yet. It's a 7/10 of a second gap. That's enough for Hartley to close if he's perfect on this last lap. So don't count out that tan 0-3 yet. And meanwhile, behind him, more shuffling. Darling to the inside of Borden. That's for 5th.
And here comes Bresci to try to make the pass. Just can't get it done. But yeah, no, definitely Hartley is reeling in. It's not on a 6/10 of a second between him and Henn. So he's catching. He could get him on this lap.
Now keep an eye on that delta. It's 5/10 of a second. He's gained 3/10 in 2 corners. Hartley is coming. Does he have enough to get to the leader, Chris Henn?
He's got to make these next, this entire lap pretty much. He's got to make it perfect and hit his marks so he can get a nice draft up to that 33.
Still behind Paul Darling in 5th. There's still a lot of cars jockeying for position. There's Thomas Bresci and Pfeiffer. They've had a very intense battle so far, but I want to jump back to 2nd place Hartley. Here is the gap now. It's 7/10 of a second. He'll have a bit of a run here heading into the hairpin, but he's got to be perfect to set himself up for Sunset Bank.
Yeah, well, I'm mistaken. That's easily going to give this race away to Chris Henn. It's pretty much these 2 guys that are fighting it for the win at this point.
And Henn cannot afford a single mistake through the hairpin. Now there's DJ, Jonathan White, Paul Darling, Michael Borden, Bresci, Pfeiffer, Mitchell Peak, all together, the top 9. But up front, it's Chris Henn. He's only won 2 races this season. Can he hang on to get a 3rd at perhaps the most important time of the season?
That gap really hasn't dropped a whole lot. It's kind of stabilized at about 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, Hartley still has the longest straight yet to come. He's off the racetrack. No, Chris Henn slides off the racetrack from the lead back to 2nd. A huge mistake for Chris Henn, and there goes the race.
Yeah, there it is. As he's trying to get up to speed. Now he's defending from DJ Alessandrini, who looks to the outside, so he's not safe for 2nd. Here comes Alessandrini trying to take that spot away.
A jumped curb for Chris Henn off the racetrack. Here comes DJ for 2nd. Chris Henn, a 1 mistake. I said he couldn't make any, and he couldn't afford it, and he went off the racetrack, and Hartley jumps to the top spot. DJ and Chris Henn still side by side. Now, if Chris gets flustered here, this could be a very entertaining run through the S's.
Here they go through hard on the brakes. This is not really a section you want to be side by side. Ooh, he's going to straddle the curbs. That might be a cut course.
That was pretty close to being a cut course there. If it wasn't, I'd be surprised. And Jonathan White gets on through. Does Chris Henn have to serve one? I don't think he does. But he's going to get shuffled back to 4th and maybe even 5th because now Darling has a run.
Oh, I think he does have to slow. He's slowing down a little bit. I think he does have one. Here comes Darling with the run. And nothing Henn can do.
Yeah, on the outside, Paul Darling's on driver's left. Hartley's all out front. He'll pick up the checkers as he comes out of the final corner, but oh, Darling's out way wide. Chris Henn fighting for 4th. Borden's way off the racetrack. Does he even make the corner? Barely he does. Hartley out of the final corner. He's going to come through and pick up a checkered flag in the number 03 in the last lap. DJ Alessandrini 2nd, White 3rd, Chris Henn 4th. Oh, Chris Henn got 3rd, actually. Oh, no, 4th. It was 4/10 of a second. Paul Darling, 46 thousandths of a second behind in 5th place. Borden Peak. Wow. Steve Scotchie back in 10th, Saxon in 11th. He never recovered from his mistake early in the race. And a car, ooh, with a blown motor in the background, that's Sam Scott in the 98.
Yeah, not sure what happened to him. That car is Definitely something wrong with the engine there. He comes across the line smoking all the way back in 14th.
And he actually got 14th by 48 thousandths of a second. Bryan Belsky couldn't quite get there. Let's go back and watch what happened to Chris Henn, because he had that race pretty much won, and all it took was one mistake for that all to go away here. So let's jump back a little ways, and we'll find out exactly how Chris Henn ended up losing this race. So here we are. This is entering the far side of the course, and I think what you're going to see here, we're right on board with Chris Henn. He hits the curb, too much curb on the inside, throttles up too soon, and just went wide.
Yeah, it was him gassing it up too soon. That really kind of, if he waited just a little bit more time to get on throttle, could have easily just carried on as he was. And then here's Allison Drini with a big run, and they dive to the outside. Yeah, so let's go back one more time and just, we'll watch this actually. We'll do this in slow motion here to better analyze this. So Henn comes in here with a big head of steam. He's trying not to make a mistake and keep Hartley behind him. I think he sees Hartley closing, but he jumps the curb a lot there, throttles up just a bit too soon, gets over the curb on exit, and these cars only have about 150 horsepower, but you'll spin the tires to get in the grass. Yeah, I think when he was just trying to force the car right, because it's a very tight section, that part of the track, he was trying to turn it so hard right that the back end started coming out, and he started sliding, and then he had to slow down a whole lot just to save it, and that allowed Hartley to take away the win.
Your session results on your screen right now. Chris Henn goes from 1st to 4th. DJ Alessandrini, he showed speed and he finished 2nd. I don't think he was the best car out there tonight. I know the damage might have affected the travel of that machine a little bit, but I think DJ is going to get beat both times tonight. We'll see what he has for race 2. Robert Hartley snuck on through for his 3rd win of the season. With all the bad luck he's had, it's about time that he gets himself another victory. Paul Darling in 5th. Bresci with a great finish in 6th. Luke Pfeiffer 7th. Borden, last corner, last lap. He just completely missed the turn and ran way wide. He ended up finishing 8th. Mitchell Peak in 9th. Steve Scotchie in 10th. Wow. Okay. Deep breath. We still have another race left to do. Yep. So let's take another look at our format before we head to break. The next race should start in about 15 minutes here. It's a 30-minute race, so it's 10 minutes longer than this one, so we're not done yet. So we're going to jump to break for a couple minutes. You're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. So stay with us. You'll hear about driver interviews later tonight at the end of race 2. So if you want to hear about Chris Henn's last lap and Robert Hartley's last lap, then stick around until the end of race 2, where we'll interview Chris, Robert, DJ, Jonathan White, and more. Stay with us.
To most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B, nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m., the feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist, born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars, found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that has not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered legs? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
Welcome back live to Winding Road Magazine and Sim TV. Of course, my name is Kyle Heyer. I'm joined alongside by Finney and Laguna. We're getting set for race number 2 of the night, but first we have to qualify. So the drivers will get 15 minutes to lay down their best time. That'll set the grid for race 2, and we'll carry on with the rest of our action this evening in a 30-minute race. So here's your format again, just to give you an idea what's going on. In the meantime, I wanted to take a moment just to talk about what we're doing this weekend, because we don't typically spend a whole lot of time kind of shooting the breeze, and we're going to chat real quick. This weekend, we are headed down to Atlanta in the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta course. We're going to be commentating for the Grid Life Touring Cup. If you don't know what that series is, you should probably know about it. There's a lot of great racing series to choose from in terms of selecting one that you want to compete in. And of course, SPEC MX-5 is a spectacular series with low costs and great action. But another option is the Grid Life Touring Cup, and we're going to be down there commentating that at Road Atlanta this weekend, Finian, and very excited to be going there. I did Gingerman Raceway back in June. Now you're coming with me to Atlanta. It's going to be a fun race, I think. Or fun races, plural. There's going to be 4 this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So I think that'll be a good event.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. There's a huge variety of cars, and it's especially interesting, too, because I don't think there's a lot of classes set up like this where you can have pretty much any car as long as it has the right power-to-weight ratio, so the power by the engine compared to the weight of the car, to kind of balance everything out. So you have Corvettes racing against Miatas, for instance.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So one of the things that SPEC MX-5 does spectacularly is the fact that this is a spec series in iRacing, and they're running default, or not a default setup. It's made by John D. Allen, but it's the setup is the same for all the cars, so everyone's car is exactly equal. That's what the real series, the SPEC MX-5 Challenge, strives to do, is have everyone be on the exact same page. And that's something Peter mentioned earlier. That's how awesome it is to really run with people knowing that you have the same stuff as they are, and you can really gauge talent that way. However, what GLTC offers, what I think is kind of neat about it, is it's a little bit less about the drivers and more about the cars. Which you'll see. Actually, there's literally a Honda Odyssey racing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that if you didn't. Yeah. There's a minivan, a racing amongst actual sports cars.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to see a minivan and a Corvette race against an S2000 and a Miata, that's your place to go. If you want to race extremely competitively and you're all interested about the talent, which we are tonight, SPEC MX-5 Challenge the way to go. But GLTC is a cool series. We'll be on Grid Life's YouTube channel Saturday and Sunday. I don't know the exact schedule off the top of my head, but just keep an eye out on Facebook and YouTube for that sort of event. It's going to be a lot of fun. And my first time on a commercial airliner, which is amazing that I've gotten this far in my life and have never flown. So,
actually, correction.
Okay, I have flown, but I haven't.
You actually have flown.
I flew a Cessna on a training thing, but that's besides the point. I've never gone through like TSA. that's really flying to most people, right? But no, so we're qualifying underway right now. 12 minutes to go in qualifying, but interestingly enough, we didn't have anyone go over the incident limit in race 1. Everyone behaved themselves, even though we did see a little push and shove here. Surprised by that or not?
I'm a little bit surprised at that, especially with Jonathan White. I'm definitely sure he got kind of close to that limit. Because we saw him make some car contact and also have some off tracks here and there. But he was able to remain under that limit. I believe I forgot who was the driver that went over the limit in the last round at Road America. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, just in general too. I don't think many drivers have gone over the limit. I think that whoever it was last week at Road America, I think might have been the only one. Or if not one of very few guys that have actually reached that limit.
It's not even a hard limit where you get kicked out of the server, but you can be taken out for repeated contact. So it's not a situation where you end up getting booted.
You get
based off the limit.
Drive-through.
Right.
To as your penalty. You still got a race, but yeah, a lot of guys. That's kind of a testament just to show how clean a lot of these guys race with each other and just the track in general. They're not going constantly off the course. They're keeping all four wheels for the most part on the track and also off of each other, more importantly.
Absolutely. So working our way through qualifying more, and Nathan Saxon, maybe a driver that missed out in race 1, made a big mistake early in the going and it was never able to recover from that. So we'll see if the 41 has anything for those top 4, but I'm looking at the 22 of Jonathan White, the 33 of Chris Henn, the 91 of DJ Alessandrini, and the 03 of Robert Hartley to really be the ones to beat again.
Yeah, and pretty much they were. Looks like they were just going to run away with it in the first half of the race, but then some few guys started making some mistakes here and there, and it bunched a whole lot of people up, and the aggression amped up quite a bit, and we saw a lot of guys making a lot of moves and stacking some people up, and it really made the race more entertaining after that compared to earlier when a lot of people were taking it more patiently.
Brian Belsky, haven't talked a whole lot about him tonight. He was in race 1 and finished a little bit down the order, but he's from Findlay, Ohio. And running the number 12 car here tonight. Also a competitor in Thursday night's Scars Ferrari Challenge, which is the first group that we ever broadcasted for on YouTube over on our channel on www.simtv. No, Kyle. Wrong URL. I was reading off our website. www.youtube.com/simtv broadcasting. That's where you can find our videos. simtvbroadcasting.com is where our website is if you're interested. But Shavelski, one of the drivers in the Scars Ferrari Challenge, they're going off at Brands Hatch tomorrow at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will not be there. I have a work commitment, but Finian will be, alongside ex-Scars Ferrari Challenge competitor Bryan Newton. Brian's actually helped out in this series before. He was relaying some messages from... Whoa, hello, who was that going off? Was it Borden? No, I don't think it was.
Oh.
John B. Allen in the 02. I don't remember him driving a paint car, but... He did not race 1. He showed up a little bit late tonight. And here is a view of this slide down in turn number 1. Turns in, and look at the counter steering.
Yeah, Harley also kind of followed him too off the track. He went sliding.
Wow. Yes, they both did. And they're still on the racetrack together, actually on pit road together. Paul Darling, we talked about him. He finished inside the top 5.
Yeah, finished in the top 5. Currently on the top of the charts. Only by a little bit, though. He's 0.06 of a second ahead of Jonathan White, who was last race's pole sitter. So White's still showing that he's got the speed, although he's only in second. He's going to have to improve by just a little bit to try to beat that 55.
Qualifying 8 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Well, we were just talking about John D. Allen in the 0-2. Now, we talked about SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. John D. Allen is a competitor there. He also ran a season in the Global Mazda Cup Series a couple years back. And John D. Allen is a very talented race car driver, actually makes the setups for this series. And good to see him competing. And of course, he is in the pro category. We haven't had a whole lot of entrants from there this season, but pro drivers are the drivers that race in a real-world series. Or they race in the SPEC MX-5 Challenge Series. I guess that's kind of the same thing. But they are highlighted in gold. They are not eligible for the season-end prizes. So John D. Allen will not be able to go for the LevelUp Racing School experience or get to test an MX-5 because guess what? He's already races them. So no worries there. Steve Scotchie, another driver that I'm really surprised by this one. Steve Scotchie, immensely talented race car driver. He sits 12th in the standings. He's actually the deepest one of the standings. No, he's not. That's incorrect. But he's one of the deeper drivers in the standings that have started at least 14 of the events this season of the 18 or 17 that we've run. In Scars Ferrari Challenge, where we know Steve from, he's typically top of the board or close to it. It doesn't seem like he's found as much success in this series as he does with faster GT3 cars.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a pretty big difference these cars to GT3 cars. Just different systems in the car, a lot faster, just handle pretty... They're pretty much as far, not as far as you can get from each other, but they're definitely far apart in the spectrum as far as road cars are concerned. So I just don't think Steve's as fast in these cars as he is in the GT3 machinery.
I'm looking at the ticker, Finney, and something's off. Something doesn't feel right.
Well, he's coming across the line. Will he put on a time this lap? And no, he will not. Oh, he will.
Okay, that's better. I was going to say something didn't feel right because the 91 of DJ Alessandrini was pretty far down the order. Well, he just jumped to 5th from 10th, so I'm still surprised. He didn't really have a draft, so no surprises here. But I was a little bit surprised that he didn't just run away in race 1 because we've seen him do that even at the draft tracks. DJ's been way faster than everybody else. Tonight doesn't seem to be the case as we see. I think that was Pfeiffer. Well, no, it wasn't. Someone went off track. Samuel Scott, maybe. But again, we've talked about DJ all season. He's gotten plenty of screen time, but I just don't think he's going to get a victory tonight. I think...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's got a lot of the speed, the dominant speed that we've seen him have at other tracks. He could surprise us in race number 2 also, and if he could actually improve on that time, if he can get a draft off him, see what that is ahead of him.
Yeah, so he's on an out lap right now. He'll have time to run another lap, but there's only 5 minutes left in qualifying before we're going to turn him loose for race 2. Again, it's a 30-minute race for race 2. Have we really seen the races really change between race 1 and race 2? I mean, it's not like we're inverting the field or anything, so it seems like the strategy is pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty much is. So I think it just matters really on the start, how well they'll start the leaders again, if they can break away from the rest of the pack. I think that's kind of been the determining factor, is really just how far these guys can spread out depending on the launches they get. And also, especially if we see a wreck in turn 1, that can separate out guys a lot.
Mitchell Peak in the 21 car. This is another driver that has had kind of pangs of success, is what I would call it. Kind of some shiny sparks in a dark room worth of success this season. He's been up in the front occasionally, but lots of bad luck for the 21. He kind of gets cornered in a lot of situations, and I think the aggression for Mitchell Peak, he'd probably afford to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to racing in packs and take more than he's taking right now, because he's a really good driver. He's been up in front, he's shown speed, but just ends up always kind of sliding down the order as things get frisky up front. So I think Mitchell Peak finished 9th in race 1. We'll see if he can improve on that for race 2 in that number 21 car. We want to take another moment. We got our ticker coming back up across the top of the screen. Wrong button, Kyle. There we go. We want to give a special shout out to Winding Road Racing again. We would not be here without Winding Road, both Winding Road Magazine and Winding Road Racing. Winding Road, they've got some spectacular race gear. We were actually looking for a helmet this week, and we were definitely checking out Winding Road Racing store. So if you're interested in going autocrossing or HPDE or anything, you got to get yourself an SA 2015 rated helmet. Go to Winding Road's website. Look at that. WeatherTech high-performance sim racing equipment. I think their reputation speaks for themselves in the sim racing area.
They're definitely well-known brand for the stuff that they provide for sim racers. Very high-quality stuff. If you really plan on getting to sim racing, definitely check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking for any kind of sim racing hardware, paddles, that sort of thing, go there. Paradigm Shift is on the screen right now. Paradigm Shift driver development. They look at driver development from a very technical point of view. So I could see myself going to do a day of LevelUp Racing School or 2 days worth of LevelUp Racing School, and then going to Paradigm Shift either before and after or both and kind of analyzing my own performance, because Paradigm Shift gives you all sorts of information on how to help yourself be faster in a race car. And they also offer, I think, track guides for most of the North American racetracks. So check out Paradigm Shift's website, a link in the description. And of course, LevelUp Racing School. We had Peter here earlier, and we want to thank him again for jumping in and just talking about what LevelUp is, because LevelUp is actually providing one of the season-end prizes. At least it's a choice that the champion can make. I would love to do a racing school at some point. I don't think I'll get the opportunity anytime soon, but I want to get in a race car.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably watching too would love to do that, as well as to get in the wheels of an actual race car and book it around a track with other drivers as well.
That's one of the things we talked about grid life. That's one of the things I was hoping if we could get on the racetrack, it'd be awesome. We got a rental Mustang. Don't tell the rental company that.
Hopefully they don't watch this.
I really doubt that.
I mean, you never know.
The car rental question in name is watching. I don't think they are, but shh, silence. So as we work our way through qualifying here, only about 2 minutes left. Paul Darling jumps quickest on top of the board, and then number 55, Jonathan White, sits second. And look where DJ Alessandrini is. He's positioned himself in place to maybe get a really good flying lap in before the session's over.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are also just setting up here as they're about to come back across the line to start their final lap and final chance to improve. Alessandrini is just slowly behind that white car up ahead of him, which will try to get a tow. I have a feeling that's Jonathan White. The car up ahead.
It is Jonathan White in the 22. Remember, Jonathan White was fast enough to win the race in race 1.
Yeah,
Got shuffled out.
Yeah, and actually you can see him that he's actually letting off, I think, trying to build a gap. And Alessandrini also doing the same as they head off towards Sunset Bend to start their times out. And see if they can improve. They got one more lap to do so.
Minute 30 left in the session, and again, you're going to get one more lap. If you get to the line before the time expires, you're good to go. Once the time ticks over to 0, we're going to get about 2 to 3 minutes of cool-down time. That means drivers can finish the lap they started, but DJ is in a great spot. My question is, Jonathan White second. He's not in a draft for the 55. Why doesn't he just pull out of the way and keep DJ from getting a draft? Why would or wouldn't he do that?
Well, he is still in second. There's a shot of trying to beat Paul Darling. But yeah, honestly, if I were you, I would absolutely pull over to... And Darling.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick, because we saw this happen to Samuel Scott at the end of race 1, and Paul Darling blew the motor on his car. I'm really curious. I bet you if we listen to this car, listen to the RPMs here. Didn't hear the explosion, but let's listen again. Listen to the RPM. Right there, that extra little hang on the RPM. Downshifted beyond the car's capabilities. These are high revving engines, but you can't rev them that high.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if he slowed down a little bit more and then downshifted, would have been able to avoid that. But yeah, was just pushing the limits of the car just a little bit much. And yeah, I'm still surprised, like you're saying, that White doesn't just pull off the track here.
Yeah, he's really going to give DJ a shot at the pole, in all honesty, which is dangerous for everybody else if DJ doesn't have to worry about traffic. And DJ's had a pretty good lap so far. His best is a 2:29.971. That's about a half a second off of Paul Darling's time. Checkered flag waving, so any driver that is currently on a lap is allowed to finish it. Ooh, DJ didn't get a great run through here.
Yeah, however, though, he's going to still recover from just the toe off of White. And if Alessandrini somehow beats White, I'm sure he's going to be probably kicking himself that he just pretty much helped this competitor out.
I mean, maybe they have some sort of agreement. Maybe they're talking right now saying, hey, I'll help you out. But if I'm Jonathan White, I'm looking at DJ leading the points. He doesn't need any help.
Yeah.
I'd be pulling off and keeping any advantage I can get. So onto the back straight now. Oh, White's out wide. DJ stays on course. And at this point, if White stays on track, he's definitely helping DJ because his lap is already invalidated. Yep. I think they're working together. So White and DJ Alessandrini collaborating here in qualifying, and perfectly legal, nothing wrong with that. And on the brakes, you see how oddly shaped this corner is. Down to the apex, right up against that wall, right under the bridge, and accelerating off. And DJ's got to pull a little tight not to run into the back of the 22. Coming to the line. Ooh, scary moment there. Does DJ improve a 2:29.971 to a 2:29.657? Good enough for third place, and that's where he will jump to. And third, and he'll actually be right behind Jonathan White. So, interesting there. Thomas Bresci out on course in the 24. He's had awful luck this season. Look at the sunset. Pretty out there right now.
It really is pretty. You see Bresci just, ooh, he's
wow. Whoa, and he's going to lose it.
And that's going to...
I'm watching this in slow motion. I'm all about curb jumping and curb hopping. You know me.
Yeah, this is similar to what we saw with us. Kind of similar to what we saw with Sanchez, although Bresci did get off the track, try to get back on, and then you see him clip the inside of the curbs. That sends him flying in the air and does a nice drift through Le Mans.
And you know what? Did he save it?
Went back
looped it here.
Almost had it.
Let's watch it even slower motion, because I can. And because we have infinite frame rate here. But
I was going to say also, you're not missing anything. No driver's out on the track, but yeah.
Wow.
A lot of airtime.
So if we analyze this at a little closer perspective here, I'm just going to go back one more time here. I want you to watch this curb, because a lot of curbs have grass behind them. Yeah. Here, the curb just drops straight off the edge back to bare concrete. And watch this left front tire as he comes back across the curbing. It's going to catch that lip, and that's what sends the car in the air. And that's what we actually saw happen earlier to Brian Cheney, and I believe it was the 23 of Jack Sanchez in race 1. They actually collided because exactly what just happened to Thomas Bresci happened to Jack Sanchez, and Sanchez got into Cheney, and they both went for a loop in turn number 16.
That was a cool clip right there.
Let's watch it at full speed from inside the 24 car. Let's go back a little farther here. Wow. Got behind a little bit of the steering here. Almost had the slide saved. All right, let's jump back live. Qualifying order on the left-hand side of your screen, and right now Paul Darling's got it. He's been awful fast this season. I don't think he's got himself a victory, though.
Yeah, and also I'm amazed at how close Darling and Wyatt are on the timesheets. I mean, it's a 2.5-minute lap, and these guys are only separated by 0.006 of a second. That's amazing. It's impressive that they're able to do that, but yeah, so Wyatt will not. But in general, though, White has done a pretty good job qualifying here. He's got pole in the first race, and is going to be starting in second race number 2. So it's definitely one of the faster guys there on just raw pace.
All right, time to go racing for the second time tonight. 30 minutes on the board. We're going to have 18 drivers competing. Nathan Saxon did not qualify in his number 41 car. Surprised by that or not?
I'm kind of surprised by that, especially because, again, he's on a little bit of ways ahead of some of the guys around him in the points, but not completely clear. So maybe, I guess, deciding to take it a little bit easy to in this second race, maybe avoid something. Maybe he feels like there might be a wreck in turn 1 or early in this race.
All right, so gridding up for race number 2 of the night. Luke Pfeiffer in the 06. He's starting up near the front. How about the 03 of Robert Hartley? This is a driver that definitely capitalized tonight. Got himself a race victory after the mistake that Chris Henn made. And for Chris Henn, I don't think he's going to feel good unless he gets himself a victory here. I think that'll be a really tough pill to swallow if he threw away a race win here and doesn't win race 2. So gridding up for the race, again, 30 minutes. It's about 13 laps worth of racing. Of course, time-based race. And there will be no full course yellows. Actually, that's the fun thing, is that there technically are full course yellows. We can have full course yellows. We have not had to have one this season, thankfully. And now that the field sizes are cut back down to really the necessary drivers for the championship, I don't think we're going to see that at all. But that would have really thrown a wrench into the strategies for a lot of people earlier in the season.
Yeah, actually kind of surprising, because yeah, I mean, although you wouldn't really notice, we've had some decently sized wrecks too. I guess nothing major enough to bring out warrant a yellow, but yeah, it is kind of surprising to hear.
Qualifying orders on the top left of your screen, scrolling on through. And of course, Nathan Saxon in the 41 didn't qualify. And I'm curious, you're talking about a wreck in turn 1. Very possible. We've seen this racetrack a couple times in Scars Ferrari Challenge, where turn 1 has been a challenge for everybody. But 17 cars is a whole lot to get through. And at this point, Saxon really should be going for wins. I would have qualified if I were the 41. Chris Henn trying to redeem himself, and John D. Allen starting about midfield here in that number 02, and is capable of winning races, but hasn't had a whole lot of success in this series yet. Hasn't been around a whole lot either, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But this is a racetrack I think he might be the driver to watch tonight.
Yeah, he's actually been qualifying pretty decently so far, as he's starting in 7th in this race. I believe he started 5th in race number 1, so he has quite a bit of speed, but really hasn't gone up there and you know, battle it out with the leaders. Maybe you can do exactly that in this race. Keep an eye on him.
Sam Scott in the 98, he blew a motor at the end of race 1. He's looking to redeem himself. We also saw the 55 of Paul Darling blow a motor. We also saw it back at Laguna Seca a few weeks back. We had the 33 of Chris Henn blow his motor. These engines are pretty sensitive to over-revving on downshifts. Remember, we talked to Peter Stolz earlier from LevelUp Racing School. What's the hardest thing for drivers to learn? Downshifting. And I think we've seen that this season. Not a whole lot of mechanical retirements, just due to the nature of the simulator, but we have seen driver error lead to blow motors here. So a little ways around for a pace lap here. If you just joined us, welcome to Winding Road and SimTV as we broadcast round 9 of 11 this season. We head to Watkins Glen in about 3 weeks, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, on the 11th.
Yep, the 11th of September, and then the last round at Road Atlanta isn't too far off in the distance. We already raced at Road Atlanta, but we are racing there again for the season finale in about a month and 6 weeks or so. Actually, it's farther than that. It's in October, I thought.
Yeah,
I think it is, so it's a little farther. It's a little off the distance, but so these drivers only have Watkins Glen to worry about after this. That will set us up for the season end. And after Road Atlanta is when we're going to crown ourselves a season champion. They'll get to select one of the prizes. Of course, if you're interested about this series or what the full point standings list is, or the prizes and all that sort of stuff, the schedule, all that is in the description below. So if you've got a tab, open up 2, the description on one of them, and you can do both at once. I promise you, it'll be a good read. There's lots of information there. They don't give the description for nothing. It's full of information, full of sponsored thank yous and all sorts of stuff. So trust me, I know you can do it. Open it up. I know everyone watching still hasn't done it yet, so do it.
Or so you still got probably a minute to
Okay,
at least
yeah.
check out something.
Nothing's happening for the next minute and a half. So open that description, click on the links, and enjoy yourself. We'll tell you. Trust me, you'll hear me when we go green. Right or left? Right?
Right?
No, left. First turn's a left.
Oh.
You failed the test.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Our humor is really bad. We're not comedians. We're iRacing broadcasters and mediocre ones at that. But how do we even land in this position? I don't even know.
Oh, we do know. We were watching her.
Yeah, we were watching our. If you want to really want to laugh here after this race, go to youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting and scroll all the way back to our very first broadcast. Have a good laugh at that. It was pretty terrible. So, all right, time to go racing here. Predictions. Who do you got winning this race?
Honestly, looking at it, I say Paul Darling. Why not? Starting up in first, he's kind of due for some success. He's been up there here and there, but I think he's got what it takes right now.
Postman. He's going to send a letter. He's going to send his letter of intent to win the championship, I think. He's going to win this race. Just watch.
All right, we'll see.
All right, out of turn 17, out of Sunset Bend, the sun is setting. We're going to race into the darkness here at Sebring. Green flag flies, racing in round 9.
Yeah, see, again, similar to what we saw in race number 1, everyone merging to the right side of the track, getting set up for turn number 1.
Not off into the corner. We're seeing everyone pretty single filed out. I do see John DeAllen, that pink car, getting in position to make a move here. So out of turn 1, DJ's out wide. So is, I think that's Hartley behind him? Yes, it is. The 03 Hartley. Then it's Luke Pfeiffer and Chris Henn behind. And look at this mess down into turn 2. Mitchell Peak way slow on the inside. Borden in 11th place, sitting behind Jack Sanchez. Look at the sunset here at Sebring.
Borden over the curves and is trying to get a draft off of Jack Sanchez up in front, as well as Thomas Bressy just ahead of him. But up I see some scrambling for position, some guys side by side as they head up into the hairpin.
Paul Darling's got the top spot. Jonathan White sits second. There's a pop out of line. I think that's Bressy to the inside. Oh no, that's Jack Sanchez to the inside of Bressy into the hairpin. Whoa, tight quarters there. Contact behind him. Mitchell Peak and Brian Cheney, they're going to get on through without issue.
Yeah, and also I saw that John DeAllen made a pass on Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, though, wants the spot back. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. He's actually under attack from Samuel Scott in behind.
Scott backs out. Pfeiffer goes defensive and motor blown for the 98.
And I was just about to say he was on track to recover from what happened to him in race number 1, but will blow his engine in race number 2, and that's going to be a DNF.
You have to have patience downshifting these cars. And the 98 just has been struggling to downshift without blowing the motor on this thing, and you gotta finish the race if you want to win. John D. Allen popped out of line in the midfield here, and he's got Luke Pfeiffer to his outside trying to fight back. This is a battle for 6th.
These guys are going to be side by side through this tight section. Someone's going to have to give through one of these corners. It looks like Allen's going to give. Pfeiffer's going to get the spot.
Pfeiffer breaks and gets back on the racing line in front of John D. Allen. Oh no! Big cut for the 06. How is that not going to be a cut?
Oh, and also behind them, Raceway sideways trying to get the car under control. And that's opened the door for Sanchez and Borden to get a run on him.
Yeah, Pfeiffer's going to have to give up a bunch of time. That wasn't even close. I'm surprised he even tried doing that. It wasn't even like it was going to be close to being legal. That was way off the track.
1, 2, 3, maybe even 4. Yeah,
maybe even 5. Yep, that's got to be a huge cut. He's going to lose all his positions. Yeah, that was all because he cut the course. You cannot cut the course here, and he just did it big time.
That's a massive penalty for Pfeiffer, effectively cutting that corner. He's lost about 7 spots, but back up in the front. You can see the top, I want to say top 6 or top 5 have broken away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, Paul Darling, White, Alessandrini, Hartley, Chris Henn, all running nose to tail, line of stern down into turn 1. Here's Chris Henn's view. Look at this top 4. They're getting racy up at the front. Jonathan White takes a look to the inside of Darling, tucks back in line. Hartley, is he going to be patient here? Is he going to try to get himself 2 for 2 tonight?
Honestly, I don't see why not. He's had a lot of bad luck in recent weeks. I think he's looking for a good week for this round if he can win both races. There you see Thomas Bressy holding off Sanchez and Scotchie behind him.
Jumping over the curbs through turns 2, 3, and 4 onto the long back straightaway again. Nose to tail back here as well as up front. Let's jump back there. The front 5 have completely broken away. John D. Allen sits 6th in the pink car. Borden in 7th into the hairpin here. Gotta watch the accordion effect down in here. I think everyone's gonna make it out without any incident.
Yeah, I'm actually, again, I'm gonna probably use my words later in this race, but...
Oh, there we go. 51. Were you just about to say we haven't seen a crash?
Yeah, I was just about to say have not seen a crash in the hairpin this race.
I'm gonna eat my words. Crash. Oh boy. Steve Scotchie turned around in the hairpin and gets drilled from the 41 of Saxon. And Saxon got clipped at the exit of that. So we talked about how I think he's actually retired. But we said not qualifying wasn't a great idea. And here's the contact. Well, don't say what you were going to say ever again, because it's clearly doomed.
I barely even got a chance to say it. I was thinking of saying it.
You know what I just noticed here? Headlights are on for the first time this season in SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. The lights are on, the sun is down, and the sparks and the intensity about to rise here at Sebring. We're going to race into it's going to be almost dark, like pitch black by the time we're done with
we have 25 minutes till the end of this race. 10 extra minutes for these guys to race out, and so far pretty calm up in the front. Although we have seen it, we did see in the last race that it was calm up in the front up until a few mistakes caused everyone to go completely crazy and for the win, and a lot of passing took place. But so far, it's calm and orderly for the top 5.
You'll notice is that these cars don't have brake lights until they don't have like solid brake lights. They have brake lights when you brake, but not standing ones. It's interesting. Oh, Chris Henn missed the turn-in point here. Maybe he's going to try to late apex. He has the room to do it. He'll stay tucked in behind Robert Hartley. Front 5 breakaway here as the sun is setting at Sebring. You see John D. Allen in the background. No other battles to speak of at the moment that are super close. It's just those front 5.
Oh, and there's a dive by Hartley to the inside of Allison Dreeny. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything with it. He's going to actually track out pretty wide. Going to keep it on the track. And
he's going to run a touch wide. That's going to leave Chris Henn an opportunity to dive to the inside in turn 2, but he won't. And Henn's being patient here. Still have a long way to go. 24 minutes. We're only 5 minutes into this race. Still a lot of time. No need to rush.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no real incentive really to do anything at the moment. The leader's right there in front of him, just 3 cars in between them. And yeah, has a lot of time to deal with them, and doesn't want to get himself involved in it.
That is the problem, isn't it? The cars in between him and the leader.
Well, I think right now, I think it's a problem for the later time in about 20 minutes.
Wow, Hartley braked in late. We talked about Hartley in the past, how late he brakes into corners, and he does a really good job getting in deep as we head through the S's after the hairpin here. Nose to tail, 1, 2, 3. Darling, White, Alessandrini, a slight gap back to Hartley, then it's Henn. And then 2.2 seconds back to John D. Allen, who rides in 6th right now. And this is the trouble spot for Chris Henn. This is where he lost race 1 after being a pretty dominant car in the late stages.
Yeah, lost to the guy right in front of him right now in 4th.
Paul Darling is out up front. He looks really strong, Finney. He was your pick to win this race. I'm liking your pick right now.
Yeah, I Darling yet to win a race this season, which is kind of surprising. I mean, we know the pace that this 55 has through other series, but yeah, it's kind of unfortunately he hasn't won a race here. He could finally get that elusive win this season.
Yeah, off into the S's now, and this is where we saw Luke Pfeiffer make a big time cut. He's only rebounded to 12th, so he has a lot of work to do to get back to where he was. But you can run as wide as you want out there. You just can't cut the apexes. And looks like these drivers up front are behaving themselves. Darling leads this race. We saw Borden pop out of line. Borden in 7th. There's Jack Sanchez off the racetrack in the background. And Thomas Bresci in 8th. I think he ran 6th in race 1. Needs a couple more spots, but if these front group starts fighting, I think you'll watch that other group come in from the background and kind of throw a wrench into the mix. Hartley out wide, a little bit wide, but they're trying to get late apexes to set themselves up for the straightaways here.
Ooh, Darling really wide into the grass. Almost it's going to choke his momentum. Might have opened the door for White if he's feeling like making a pass.
Still really early. I mean, I think if you're second, you want to hang tight, but if you're 4th or 5th, if you're Hartley or Henn, not really a reason to stay put back there. You might as well try to make a pass. You got to be probably second if the field gets a little stretched out. You could probably be 3rd or 4th in the last lap if you're all tight together, but I don't think we're going to stay this tight for 22 more minutes. You could.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the lap times between Chris Henn and John DeAllen, and leaders are pulling away by about, this lead pack is pulling away from the rest of the field by about 5/10 a lap, at least compared to last time through. So they are breaking away, and I think they might continue as long as they can, so that way they have a nice solid gap to kind of duke it amongst themselves, so that way no other cars get involved.
Car to line up the road. It's Jonathan White taking a look to the inside of Paul Darling. Side by side for the lead the first time this race. Alessandrini is going to take the opportunity to swing to the outside of White, but White's going to have the preferred line down into turn 8, so what does Alessandrini do to take care of this?
He's going to use the draft off of Paul Darling. He's not going to have enough of a gap to make a move or do anything. He's kind of stuck in. Here comes White to the inside. Looks like he's going to be able to defend, but
no,
DJ on exit might get a run here.
Yeah, DJ got a great run on the outside of the corner. That's a hard place to stay on the outside. He'll take the move for second and put himself solidly in a place to win this race. Hartley still sits 4th. We saw Hartley and Jonathan White get into it a little bit in race 1. We'll see if more of that shenaniganry continues in race 2.
Definitely also seeing the difficulty of trying to pass in a pack like this. If you make a move and it doesn't work, you have the danger of falling further back in set pack, as we saw with White dropping from 2nd to 3rd.
Careful dance over the curbs, setting yourself up way out wide here for turn 16. Hartley got a pretty good run on White. We'll see if he does anything with it. And Chris Henn, he's about 3/10 back. He wasn't quite as tight as the other drivers are. DJ Alessandrini, he's out of line, going for the lead on the back straightaway.
Yeah, he's just going to get ahead of Paul Darling by a nose and actually going to clear him by the corner. Looks like Darling's backed off, and let Alessandrini slide in line in front of him.
Ooh, Henn's out wide in turn 17.
Yeah, he's been trying, I think, different lines, trying to get a better apex through. That's just been running wide.
Hartley out in the grass, so is Henn, and they almost packed the wall there. That was not great.
Actually, the track out there kind of divots a little bit and kind of went in a bit of a ditch, but both of them kept it off the wall, thankfully.
Off into turn 1 now, about 20 minutes left. So now we're to the point of, this is what the length of race 1. So now we're going to see everyone kind of get back on their original strategies from the first race. Henn, with that mistake out of turn 17, back a little ways. Alessandrini's got the top spot now. It's been hard to wrestle the lead away from him. Chris Henn did it last time on the outside through this section of the racetrack, actually. I wonder if Paul Darling's got the pace to do that.
Well, he's got a nice run off the corner. I'm curious if he's going to bother trying to fight back or maybe just kind of sit in line for the next 15 minutes or so. I guess he's not really in a whole lot of a rush, but he's got a pretty good draft off in the 91. Yeah, you can hear him backing out of it.
Well, the concern is that DJ doesn't make that many mistakes. So if you make a mistake, DJ's gone. So I want to have the peace of mind that if I make a mistake, he still has to pass me. So if I'm Paul, I'd probably try to get around him, but we'll see how it works out.
And again, I think he's also kind of weighing the risk of potentially getting passed by White or some of the other guys behind him if he makes the pass and it doesn't work out. So keep an eye on this group so far.
Into the braking zone, you see the front 5 just totally accordioned up. I see Michael Borden has caught John D. Allen. I wonder if these two look like they're working together to try to catch that front pack. Last time they did make up ground, at least on 4th and 5th place cars.
caught them by by about 8/10.
8/10 of a second,
Yeah, so that's a pretty sizable chunk that they took out. Might be able to take out a bit more here on this lap. We'll see.
Paul Darling is not letting Al Sandrini get away. Look how close he is to the rear bumper of the 91.
Yeah, he's riding right on the bumper, and there's a dangerous riding that close in behind someone. And you see Al Sandrini take a really solid line through there, just hooking the curb. Danger really running in behind someone like this up to a corner. If you don't brake in time, you can easily punt the guy in front of you.
How about this is racing inches apart from each other? Look at that.
Okay, there you see Hartley slip out of line with a run on Jonathan White for third place.
This is a scary place to try to make the move work. To the inside goes Robert Hartley. They're going to be door to door, wheel to wheel through turn 17. I think Hartley's going to have the advantage on exit. But White carries a whole lot of speed, and Paul Darling going to jog to the right here. Which driver gets the draft? It looks like neither of them right now.
It looks like neither. Hartley just hanging on, I think, trying to get a draft of Paul Darling up ahead, but Darling's in such a way neither can get the draft, and it looks like White's going to clear Hartley by the corner.
Hartley might have to just carry momentum around the outside, and he will. And Chris Henn now going to take advantage of this and try to stick his nose up the inside.
Nope, he's going to back out of it, so he's going to be playing it patient for now.
Still lots of time left, not even to halfway yet. Sun is pretty much going down though, and as soon as that sun dips behind the horizon officially, it's going to get very dark very quick. And visibility is going to be at a premium, especially if you're not in a big group of cars. If you're by yourself, it's going to be hard to see.
Yeah, it really is. This track is, if you've watched any actual IMSA racing here, or any racing here at night, track not very well lit in certain parts. On the front straightaway in a few corners, it has some decent lighting, but for a lot of parts of the track, it's almost in darkness.
Another thing I wanted to kind of open up about here is I've been watching the brakes the last couple laps, and this is not something you usually get to see during the day, but I want to just, if we can, it's going to be a little tricky to see. Look inside the wheels as we get to the braking zone here, or just exiting it. Look at Paul Darling's brake rotors. They're going to be pretty toasty. They were glowing there for a second. You don't get to see this during the day, but they are red hot in this car. And we've seen this a lot, especially on the stock car side of things. How you drive totally changes how much wear and tear your brakes take.
And here they come into the car. They see a little bit of a glow. These guys not using the brakes enough to really make them glow that much, but definitely enough.
They get a lot of time to cool here, but the more brake heat you have, the warmer your tires are going to be. And now, we didn't really look at our conditions yet tonight, but they're cool, 78 degrees. So you're not going to have to worry about tire temps getting ridiculously high, but you do have to worry about maybe using a bit too much brake. You don't want to overheat your stuff. And that is something iRacing models, by the way, brake heat and brake fade. That typically takes a little longer to manifest. Hartley out in the dirt a little bit. Will he take this run to Jonathan White again? Look at how close he is tucked up behind.
See everyone's taking a little bit, trying to get the driver. He's going to look to the outside now. Jonathan White was on the inside last time through.
Oh, White's going to try to force his way back over in front. He does. That was a tight battle there for a moment.
Yeah, it looks like Hartley's not really going to have anything for White in Sunset.
And that's why they call it Sunset Bend, folks, by the way. We'll look at it next time through. Al Sandrini still leads the way, but not dominant by any means. Meanwhile, mid-pack Mitchell Peak, Jack Sanchez, they've traded spots. That's for 10th, and they're going to cross each other back over here at the exit of Sunset Bend. Top spot, though, ooh, for third. White and Hartley. Hartley to the inside.
Hartley to the inside, White to the outside. They're going to be pretty much side by side, neck to neck. It's a drag race down towards turn number 2. Almost forcing each other off the track. Almost some contact.
Hartley's the one on the inside line there. Remember, these two got together in this place last race. And Chris Henn sitting here going, guys, focus on the leaders. We're losing them.
Oh, and trying to make a pass on White, but choked and lost a lot of momentum.
And look at that might have done it actually for Chris Henn. That one little mistake. It's going to put him potentially out of contention if these front four drive away before they start fighting. Ooh. Watch the gearing on the downshift, Chris.
Yeah, he's forcing the issue here because I think he knows he's really in danger of losing the pack. And they've kind of got him disjointed a little bit. You can see a lot of the gaps separating with a lot of passing going on.
Yeah, Chris Henn is just inside the drafting range. These cars have about a second to 1.2 seconds worth of draft. He's at 7/10 right now, but you need a really long straight to get a sufficient draft from 1.2 back. So He's within a half second now of Jonathan White, but still has a lot of work to do to catch back up to the front with Paul Darling and DJ Alessandrini. 13 and a half minutes to go. We're past halfway, working lap 7 of what will be 12 laps in this event. So Jonathan White took a big chunk of curb trying to stretch out the gap on Hen, and it worked. Put Hen 8/10 back, and he got right up to the rear bumper of Hartley.
These two guys have been kind of going at it since what went on initially, ever since Alessandrini took the lead of this race. And I haven't been able to sort out between these two, but I haven't really seen any challenges to the lead other than Alessandrini's challenge early in this race. Other than that, it's been fairly quiet.
And they've been patient.
Yeah.
More patient. So folks, you want to know why Sunset Bend is called Sunset Bend? That's why. We're going to get down there, we're going to see that gorgeous sun disappear behind the bridge over there in turn 17. We're going to run on board. Now we'll run on board the gyro cam here. You can feel the bumps as we head through Sunset Bend.
You can see the car just riding bump after bump after bump through the corner. Finally getting back on throttle.
Looks like Jonathan White was actually able to cross over Robert Hartley, and Chris Hen is officially gone. I don't think he's got any chance of getting back. Up front, though, battle for third continues, but they're also losing touch with Paul Darling here. The gap is larger than it was, and Darling has lost ground from DJ Alessandrini. So DJ, the nighttime is the right time. He's begun to stretch out his lead. It's 9/10 of a second now.
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable gap that's effectively losing the draft that Darling has, and that could be the deciding factor. So Alessandrini kicking it to high gear when he needs to now.
Wow, look at Jonathan White taking a bunch of curb on entry and exit, but we know DJ's good, and I thought he wasn't going to win a race tonight, but it looks like he's pretty much set himself up as the favorite here.
Yeah, you see Darling trying to get some sort of run to get back to Alessandrini. It's going to take a little while to try to build that, break the gap back down. We'll see if Darling can hang on or if he'll fall off like we saw Chris Hen with the leading back.
Well, Darling has a little bit of an advantage here in that he's got two drivers that are equally as fast as DJ behind him. So if they work together, they will probably be able to catch DJ on draft alone. The problem is DJ's running 230.5s all by himself. Everyone else is running 231s in the draft. So I think DJ's just kind of in his own zip code right now. And looks like Hartley's off track. That's going to be a cut course for sure. And he'll probably get it up on the back straight here.
And you see White in behind him trying to find a way around Hartley. To go hard on the brakes and continue on.
Hartley has been really lucky with the cut courses tonight.
I guess it's just in that part of the track you just don't get one. So lucky for him, he'll continue on in behind Paul Darling, but has not been able to close up to Alessandrini.
Nothing happening out back. Elijah Cloft and Steve Scotchie are fighting for 15th. Scotchie's got some left front damage there after I presume it was part of the collision down in the collision down in the hairpin that caused that.
Yeah, it's been a rough second race for the 51. As he's fighting with Elijah Clough.
Don't take me out, coach. I can still race. Reminds me of the Cars moment there. Ooh, third battle. Heating up again. Hartley and White side by side into Sunset Bend again. And White's in really deep this time. And will complete the pass, but I think Hartley's going to try to carry momentum back around the outside. He won't be able to, though. Clean pass for the 22.
He's not going to get a whole lot of a run, but he's going to get a little bit of a draft as he pushes. White is trying to make a pass. He's going to try to make a pass. Cutting inches just off the back end.
I don't think these guys can decide which one wants to go attack the two leaders. 4 laps to go up front.
A dive from Hartley in turn number 1 is going to clear back ahead of White, who will do a crossover. Or try to do a crossover yet again, but nope. Looks like he's going to have to sit in behind him at least for turn 2.
Yeah, and these guys have to start working together because if they want to go get back to DJ, they have some work to do. Paul Darling is still losing a bit of time every lap. It was a 10th quicker for DJ last time through than Paul Darling. And that is really their last chance to dethrone the driver atop the standings, Thomas Bresci and Jack Sanchez. They've been dueling quite a bit the last couple of races. And Thomas Bresci's got a bunch of rear-end damage, and I see some front-end damage on that 23.
Yeah,
and you put 2 and 2 together, puzzle pieces fit.
Yeah, I think they definitely had some sort of run-in. Might have been in this corner.
You see Jack Sanchez being pretty careful on the brakes there. Now he closes in right on corner exit.
Pretty much right where the where the damage matches up.
Yeah. These guys are fighting on a jump back to the top spot to show you that Paul Darling has actually closed the gap through this first couple sectors here. And Alessandrini's lead has dwindled, and actually third and fourth have closed back up as well. So,
ooh, Darling with the look. Actually, kind of surprised he took a lot, not close enough just yet for the 55. We'll sit him behind the leader, but yeah, his top four reunited and joined and ready to fight it over the next 3 laps.
You know, it's like a slinky. It kind of expands and then closes back up with the way the draft works here. And Paul is sitting in a great spot. Remember, he won the SCCA Spec Racer Ford iRacing Championship a couple months ago. We know he's talented in the sim racing space, just hasn't had the luck go his way. But he's right behind DJ Alessandrini as they work towards turn 16. And trying to set DJ up for a pass. And he's going to have a really good run here.
Oh yeah, as Alessandrini tracks off a little bit, Darling with a better run. And there you see him go out for the pass.
And no waiting around this time. He's going to take a look to the inside, heading towards Sunset Bend. It'll be 3 laps to go next time by.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of can Darling get it done on the brakes. This is going to be hard, setting up this corner on the inside. He's going to do it, and so will Robert Harley to the inside. So everyone on the attack.
And Jonathan White as well in the 22. This is exactly what happened last time. Yep. Almost exactly the same time as well, with about 3 laps to go. So looks like DJ's going to get shuffled back to third, maybe even fourth. He's going to launch the attack back on Hartley as they get down to turn 1. Paul Darling has the top spot again.
And now Darling is going to try to defend off as Hartley goes for a look, as well as Alessandrini. They're 3 wide for a second down in turn 1.
Yeah, we stepped him out like a formation flight. Blue Angels in Pensacola, Florida, just a little while away. In the background, I see Chris Henn and John D. Allen having a tussle. Rusty and Sanchez into turn 1. Some contact here.
No love lost between these two drivers.
No, I don't think these guys are getting along very well right now. And we're going to keep the camera on these guys until they get it sorted out.
Down towards turn number 2. Who's going to clear? Looks
like
Sanchez. Oh, more contact between them.
Oh,
and that's going to hold up Peak and Cheney in behind him.
Yeah, Bresci actually... no! He turned him on the out of turn 4, and they're gonna still. This is naughty now. And Cheney gets collected as collateral damage. Paul Darling up front. He's off the racetrack.
Oh, he's off in the hairpin, and he's gonna be out of this out of the leading fight for now. It's now down to Alessandrini, Hartley, and White.
Okay, we have to quickly jump back very, very briefly to check out what happened to the 55 of Darling. What happened? Did he just run wide?
No, you have to go back a little bit further.
Oh, yes, there was contact from Robert Hartley right here.
Yeah, just a little bit of a nudge, but it was enough to send Darling flying off the line.
Up front, though, we have to jump back because it's Alessandrini and Jonathan White, Chris Henn, Paul Darling, John D. Allen. Allen's up to 4th place now in the 0-2. But look at Paul Darling. His brakes are red hot. He's trying so hard to get his positions back. And John's off the racetrack, up the road. And all that has happened on the last lap. I think things have kind of lit on fire here.
Yeah, it's similar to kind of what we saw in the last race, with everything kicking off in the last few laps. But right now for the lead is between Alessandrini and White. Hartley's a little bit too far behind.
DJ out of control! Holy cow!
Yeah, as Alessandrini does a full-on drift through the S's there, and that's going to allow White to close up just a little bit. He's going to have a run here. And what Hartley needs to do is for these two to fight up ahead so that way he can get a nice run back. And there you see them start the fight side by side on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Robert Hartley is sitting in a good position right now because these two are going to do nothing but slow each other down. 2 laps to go, 5 minutes remaining as we enter Sunset Bend for the
Oh, big dive for White.
Oh, DJ's out way off the racetrack. Is he going to be able to cross over Jonathan White? Look at the run the 91 gets.
He tries to do a crossover, he's going to track out a little bit wide, going to keep it off the grass. But if you look up behind Alessandrini, I think Hartley was able to close up a decent amount. No, actually not so much.
DJ's going to sit here. I think he feels like he's in a position of strength right now. Look at the pack behind him. John D. Allen closing in as well. So I don't think we're done up front yet. And Hartley's back. He has caught the leaders again.
Hartley trying to get 2 wins in one night.
Don't worry, something just fell off my wall. We're getting so excited. All good. As DJ tries to close back up, we're yelling so loud I think I knocked the pictures off the wall. Oh, John D. Allen climbing the curbs in the background, being very aggressive. He's close. He's only 1.3 back. Jack Sanchez off the racetrack. I think this has got to be a penalty for the 23. And presumably, the 24 stays out. So I think we're good here.
But yeah, so the top 3 are Hartley back in this fight for the lead. And Allen, you can see him visually pushing really hard, trying to catch back up to the leads. If he can
no! DJ drills the 22 in the rear bumper, and I think he's going to slow down a little bit. That's going to let Hartley on by. So carnage up front.
And another change for the lead down to the hairpin.
Oh my goodness.
That's the third wreck we've seen today. I really should have never said what I was going to earlier.
2 laps to go, and everything's changed around, and this is a very uncharacteristic mistake by DJ Alessandrini.
It just has the run here. Oh, it just clips him in the corner panel of the car, and it sends White flying off the track and put him all the way back in 7th place.
Oh, I hate that for Jonathan White, as well as Paul Darling gets shuffled out of the lead back to 5th. But up front, it's Hartley by half a second.
And look who's behind in 3rd, John D. Allen. He was catching these guys quite a bit. He's in the draft, and he's well within a chance to get the win here. So is Chris Henny. He's actually also back in the fight, right in behind Allen.
Yeah, John D. Allen from Columbus, Ohio. He's raced in Real World SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge as well as the Global MX-5 Cup. He sits 3rd, coming back to the white flag this time by, and Chris Henn is back as well in 4th. So it's not over yet, folks. Robert Hartley leads, but I don't think we're done fighting for the top spot just yet.
We're definitely not, because Alessandrini's going to get a nice run on Hartley. Hartley really can't do much to defend from it. So this is going to bunch up a lot of the guys in the front here as they come to get the white flag next time by.
I see Allen popping out of line. He's 4/10ths back. And look at the sunset. It's like fireworks out there in the sky. It's fireworks on the racetrack down into turn 17, coming back to the white flag. There's 2 minutes and 27 seconds left to go.
And Alessandrini almost hitting the wall, going so close to the wall on the inside. Tries to get side by side, but can't with Hartley. And here they come across the line. 1 more lap to go.
Chris Henn sitting in 4th. If these front 3 get frisky, he might have a shot at the win. Hartley starts weaving on the front straight to try to break the draft from the 91, but look at Allen putting pressure on DJ now down into the first turn.
Yeah, top 3 are kind of broken away from the rest of the field for now as they all come off of turn number 1 a little bit sideways and head off into the dirt.
Into turn 2 now. Look at Hartley taking a little bit of a shallower line into turn 2 to try to protect a little bit from DJ. We've seen push and shove all over the place. I think DJ doesn't want to repeat that mistake, so he's probably going to step out of line. If nothing else, just make sure that he doesn't hit Hartley again, or at least hit another leader again. Look at him popping out of line. Hartley's going to go defensive. This is going to be the hairpin for the last time. The white flag waves.
Oh, and here comes Allen now to the big
Way
dive.
up the inside. That was about as late on the brakes as you can go.
He took that corner perfectly, but Alessandrini's still going to have a run on the 0-2, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Allen should be able to put himself in 2nd place here.
Wow, that was an incredible late-breaking move, and he's going to have to fight with DJ Alessandrini. If they get tangled together, Hartley's going to be able to drive away and sweep at Sebring.
Allen a little bit later on the brakes than Alessandrini. Going to clip the curb, going to slam right in front, slam the door shut in front of the 91.
He's got to be perfect here. Ooh, Hartley didn't get a great run through this section. That puts Allen and Alessandrini right on the bumper of Hartley as they head towards the longest straightaway with the most draft. This is going to get spicy.
I think Allen should probably wait for the back straight. I think that's his best opportunity to try to take away the lead from Hartley, because Hartley's going to be a sitting duck on that straightaway. Nothing much he can do other than try to swerve around.
Getting to the nitty-gritty. Last lap here.
Oh, and behind
round
them,
9.
Chris Henn.
Chris Henn looking for 3rd on the outside of DJ Alessandrini. Door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel.
They're going wheel to wheel to this section. They're going to keep it collected here, and that's going to pretty much separate the top 2 from everyone else. As Henn struggling to take away 3rd away from Alessandrini.
They're side by side for 3rd place behind him, but up front, John D. Allen sits in a place where he could collect himself a victory in the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. For 3rd place, it's a hornet's nest. 2, 3, 4, 5 cars fighting for position behind, but up front, when is the move to be made? Look at the block by Hartley to the inside, and look at Allen to the outside now into turn 17.
Oh, Allen with a big swing to the outside, trying to get the run. He's going to try to pinch Hartley there side by side through sunset.
Final corner, coming back to the checkers. This is going to be a drag race to the finish line. Who is going to get there first? Hartley with the advantage. It's a 10th of a second as they come to the start-finish line. Drag race.
Who's it going to be?
Who's going to get there?
Hartley.
Hartley by a 10th of a second.
No,
way less than that.
Yeah, 600ths of a second.
Okay, that was an incredible result.
And in behind them, Darling's going to get 3rd, Borden 4th. Alessandrini back in 5th.
Wow, Chris Henn in 6th place. We're gonna, don't worry folks, we're gonna watch ourselves some replays here. Holy cow. Closest finish, I think that's the closest finish we've had. Safe to say. But John D. Allen misses out by 60 thousandths of a second over Robert Hartley. Wow, that was crazy there. All right, let's go back and watch the last corner. We have 2 battles to focus on. And the one I wanted to look at first was the battle for the win. And we're going to have to take, there's a couple different camera angles here, but this is coming into the final corner. And Allen sets himself up wide to try to cross over here. But he ends up kind of having to commit out here because the way that, look at the 0-3, he stayed right.
Yeah, and actually I think he was gaining on him by the line, but it was just not enough straightaway.
Holy cow. About as close as it's going to get. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. I think we saw something pretty close at Road America, but then behind them, we have to look at that battle as well. They were almost 4 wide approaching the line. Here's that battle.
And here's the battle for third, almost 4 abreast as they came across the line.
And looks like, yeah, that was pretty close to 4 wide. If the 42 was just offset a little bit more, I would consider that 4 wide. But DJ finishes 5th. Borden with a 4th place result after all that. What an incredible result there. Wow. I want to go back a little bit farther in this fight, though, and look at the whole back straightaway shenaniganry. How about from Jonathan White's point of view here?
A lot of defensive driving. See how Sandrini just slammed the door shut in front of Chris Henn.
Yeah, back to Chris Henn up a couple car lengths. And White tried to have a run, and then at this point, there's just too many cars to pick a line.
Yeah, at that point, you gotta just pick one and commit to it.
Look at that. 30 minutes of racing all coming down. We had 7 cars within a second and a half. We had 3 cars within a second and 2 within 60 thousandths. That wasn't even the closest finish. Between Chris Henn and Al Sandrini, it was 22 thousandths of a second. So, wow, is all I can say about that one. Here's your session results as we just have to take a breather for 2 seconds and just talk about how incredible is that action.
Yeah, that was a great end to that race. Very calm for the most part up until the last 7 minutes or so, and then it really kicked off with a lot of guys making a lot of bold moves to get themselves in the front of the field line position. A few mistakes here and there to throw a wrench into things, and that was a fantastic finish to that race.
All right, we're probably going to have a pretty lengthy interview process tonight because there's a lot of people we want to talk to, so stay put. We're not going anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Winding Road Magazine and Sim TV. Here now with Jonathan White, who finished 7th in race number 2. But that doesn't really say the full story, Jonathan. There was some pushing and shoving, some aggressive driving there at the end of the race. What happened from your perspective, and just walk us through those last couple laps?
Well, I got the first, but unfortunately, since I was following the entire race, I was braking earlier to compensate for the guys in front. And then once I finally got into first, I realized, oh crap, you know, the braking points shifted further down the road because the track's cooling off. So unfortunately, I broke in the place where I typically brake when it's, you know, warmer out. And DJ tried to compensate for that, but he didn't realize I'd be braking that early, so I got punted off, unfortunately.
Saw
after that.
Oh, go ahead, keep going.
Sure, but after that, I mean, I kind of saved it. I didn't like die after that, and then I was behind Michael Board, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna try and fight for what I can. I assumed it'd be like 2 laps left, but it was 1, and I'm like, all right, I guess I have to send it. So I was following him, and then towards the end, it was just total chaos. You know, car was 3 wide, like lanes down, and I tried like swinging wide. Like I started wide in the last corner, and then tried getting through with the inside, but didn't quite work out for me. But overall, not a bad race. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a lot of fun out there. I'm just curious as to what your perspective is on the race kind of increasing in the aggression level those last couple laps. And we were watching from your perspective coming into the last corner. You know, does it become an issue of more the track is blocked and you physically don't have anywhere to go, or is it more just getting yourself set up and putting yourself in the right position?
You mean like for the last corner?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with the last corner, like, having 3 people in front of you, like 3 wide, really obscures the line. And I had that issue, like, early on, I think, race 1, where I'd like, have to, like, brake earlier because I couldn't see the corner since I was being blocked. So, I think it's, like, both mental and physical. Like, oh, I can't see where I'm going, so I can't put my car here because I'm risking it. And also physical because, you know, there are cars there.
All right, Jonathan. Well, hey, it was a pretty successful night for you all in all, and I know you got kind of booted out of the way there, but still a good run for you in that number 22 car. Congrats on that, and we'll see you at Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. See ya. We're talking now with the driver, the number 55, Paul Darling, who was leading the race in the late stages and kind of got booted off the racetrack, Paul. So kind of a rude awakening there at the front of the field, getting knocked out of the way. What happened there? And talk to us about those last couple laps.
I thought about trying to defend going into the hairpin because I know Rob had a run on me. Kind of did a half-hard defense. I don't think I braked too early, but it was just the tiniest of touches that just a tiny touch when you're on the edge will send you off. But it was just incidental contact, just hard racing there.
It looks like, look at the point standings now, you've actually jumped up 1 spot to 4th in the standings. Still winless. You're the only driver other than Nathan Saxon in the top 5 that is winless here so far. So close yet tonight. So does that sting a little bit, or you still think you've got another win up your sleeve maybe for Watkins Glen?
I'm always hoping for a win, but every race here is completely crazy, but I can never seem to find my way to the front for the very end, but hopefully next week.
All right, well, Paul Darling finishes on the podium tonight in race number 2. A strong finish after getting knocked out of the way in the hairpin. Paul, thanks for talking.
Thank you, Kyle.
Talk now with, I believe we're going to have John D. Allen with us now. John D. Allen finished 2nd tonight in race number 2 by pretty much a bumper. John, 60 thousandths of a second behind Robert Hartley. If you could do it all over again, would you do anything different?
I mean, I don't think so. I was where I wanted to be. I wanted him to think I was doing an over-under and just carry more speed on the outside there. But, you know, it's hashtag respect the bumps, right? So it's hard to get the power down coming out of Sunset. But that felt great. I know I've not been around for too many races this season. I really, you know, I love watching it when I can, and I love having helped get this thing going. You guys do a great job, and to be up at the front, it felt like a lot like the real thing last year. That was fantastic.
There was a certain point in the race where you were kind of buried a little bit deeper in the field where the front 4 or 5 were kind of duking it out. Did you feel like at any point that you were out of the race, or did you think or know that those front drivers were going to get kind of spicy and mix things up?
Having the benefit of having run the Real Series last year, I know that you just got to keep charging because eventually someone's going to get out of line. There's going to be less than 10 minutes, less than 4 laps, whatever it is, where somebody blinks first and they start going 2 wide, even 3 wide in the wide parts of the track. And I thought they'd back up to me. They weren't that far gone. I started driving the track a little bit better. So at first they ran away and eventually I was holding the gap. And then when Michael got to me, we tried out a new hashtag, Respect the Bump Draft, and it helped us out a little bit for about 3 or 4 laps and just sneaking on the tail of that draft. And then I think he missed a shift going down the back Holman straight, and I jumped back to the front thinking this is the time, and it worked out eventually.
All right, well, John D. Allen, second place tonight, not far behind Robert Hartley, so close, but not a victory tonight. John, thanks for talking.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
Yep. And we talked to DJ Alessandrini as well, who ended up without a victory tonight, but DJ wasn't without its trials and tribulations. He had to lead a bunch in both races, but race number 2, a 5th place result, really doesn't show where you're running all night. What happened tonight? Walk us through those last couple crazy laps.
It was survival mode, 100%. I have such a huge points lead going into the last 2 races. It'd be a shame if I threw away huge chunks of points, just, being greedy and trying to win races. I really don't have to win. I'm a racer, so of course I want to win. But, I have to think about that final race.
So it seems like big picture racing for you at this point. So on the last lap, when everyone was kind of duking and diving and throwing moves, were you being a little bit more reserved on that? Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah. Basically, when I hear 3 wide going into the last corner of the race, and we're going into 17, and I know I have 3 cars near me, I'm hanging way out, like looking around while driving, figuring out where everybody is, and then figuring out a safe way to end the race. So I obviously would have liked to go for the win, but I had unfortunate contact with John going into the hairpin. Both races he broke a little bit before the 3, and then that time he broke a little bit after the 4. So it's my job not to hit him as being the car behind him. So I take responsibility for that, but it's hard when people change up their braking points.
Walking out of Sebring and heading towards Watkins Glen, does your goal change at all with only 1 race left in the regular season here in the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge?
The goal is to win the whole thing. So I'll practice up and try to win some individual prizes for Watkins Glen. Not entirely sure how much practice I'm going to get on that one. This weekend I'm going to Road Atlanta for the Grid Life Touring Cup, and then it's Solo Nationals, and then it's Road America, and then it's that Watkins Glen race. So it's going to be tough to figure out some time to practice where I'm fully practiced up on iRacing. So Watkins Glen might be a survive and make sure I get the season win. So I go into that last race with those bonus 2 points above, which will probably be Hartley. And I'll need those 2 points as Hartley showed tonight.
All right, DJ. Hey, we're going to see you on Saturday down in Road Atlanta. So good luck this weekend, DJ, and nice job tonight.
All right, thanks, Kyle. See you there.
Yep. And last but not least, it'll be Robert Hartley in the booth, driving the number 03 car tonight. Was kind of crazy out there, Robert. Wasn't easy victories this evening, but it does look like you've doubled your win count in one evening on the season, so the bad luck has turned into great luck for you, as well as some great driving those last couple laps. Walk us through the end of race number 2.
Well, it was a wild finish. Somehow I got to second, and me and Jonathan had a good battle back there for 3rd and 4th, and ended up getting to 2nd place, and just barely touched Paul getting into the hairpin and sent him through the grass. So feel bad for Paul. He was having a great run. But then I was going to back up and let him by, and it put me back in 3rd. And then DJ and Jonathan had their issues in the same spot, and it got me back to the lead, and I just tried to hold them off from there.
Talk to me about that last straightaway. You have John D. Allen, who's a competitor in this series in the real world, as well as also has experience in the Global MX-5 Cup Series. He knows his stuff, so how do you outsmart him? Because I saw it at turn 17, you did a little duck to the inside, maybe trying to prevent the over-under, but what was going through your mind, and how do you hold off a professional here in iRacing?
Yeah, I just had to get defensive down the back straightaway. John was coming with a run, and he kind of pinched me down into the corner, so I just held it as tight as I could and ended up coming out with it. I don't know how close we was. I know we was side by side.
The gap was 60 thousandths of a second there, Robert, so it was really close. But hey, thanks a lot for talking to us. Congratulations on a spectacular night here at Sebring, and we'll see you in a couple weeks at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. All right, Finian. Every round I think we have a more and more intense race. It gets better and better as the season goes on. But thoughts leaving Sebring here?
Yeah, I know that was a fantastic race in both races. A little quiet through a lot of the middle, and beginnings of both races, but towards the end, it was an all-up brawl, and really it was amazing because we were left not really knowing who would win in both finishes up until really the end of it.
Yeah, I think what Sebring has showed us is that you really don't know who's going to win to the last corner of the last lap, no matter how the race has gone so far. And we head to Watkins Glen on the 11th of September to do more of this, because Watkins Glen is also kind of a drafty racetrack, a little bit more downforce required. We don't have a whole lot of downforce in these cars, so it's going to be slippy, slidey, drafty, and fun. We're going to see you guys this weekend on the Grid Life channel on Facebook and on YouTube. We're going to be commentating the Grid Life Touring Cup, but we'll see you next time for SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge on September 11th. Keep an eye on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube page for that link when it pops up, and keep an eye on their other content that comes on through. We want to thank our sponsors, Paradigm Shift, LevelUp Racing School, Raceway, Winding Road Magazine, and everyone else that's come on board to help us out here. Again, check the links in the description if you're interested in any of their products or services. Thank you so much. See you at Watkins Glen, our home track, in a few weeks.